Good morning. Good morning, folks. Happy Tuesday. We're diving into something I don't necessarily usually get to on stream today. We're going to do gold today. I decided on gold this week. I thought about silver. We did iron and bronze last week, and we did silver the week before. So I figured I'm diving into a format that I don't normally get to on stream. It's a little bit higher. It's a little bit more expensive. Not necessarily my purview when it comes to you guys, right? Because I want to build you guys good teams. Gold teams can be difficult to build. So I saw the question in chat: how expensive is a decent gold team? It is not cheap. These are not cheap players. They can get very expensive very quickly. There are some options out there for you to kind of mix and match and fill in. We'll look at them today. We're going to start with some packs. I finished some collections on the Decimals version 2. This poor Iron team that just hasn't gotten any love. We're hoping for something good from them today. We'll have a couple packs on the other teams, and then we're going to get to the stats. The nice thing is, good morning. As I start over, I didn't mention anybody I saw in chat this morning. Usually we got Gabaguluigi, we got Bucktown Ballers, we got Weldon 6. Who else we got in here? Kozlongorn, Blubla, 12, Crossfire. I saw Dan Brothers in there. Ian's in here today. Mr. World, Superman LD, Curly Karkovice. Good to see you, man. And I don't know if this is gonna raise the prices on them. Question for the group: when a hitter is fatigued, for example, down to 60, is his fielding compromised or just the hitting? Very good question. I'm gonna let chat do that. And everybody else, I can't mention everybody. There's a lot of you in here. We like to get my favorite part of the stream out of the way early, which is the opening of the packs. It has not been very lucky for me lately. In fact, it's just stressfully dreadful lately. So, as you can see, with this start, we have one silver card so far. It was alive. And what's up, Teddy O? Good to see you, man. Oh, diamond. There we go. Well, there's our first big hit in a while. Kind of big hit. 25,000 for a Negro League diamond with an Andrew Vaughn in there as well. He'll probably pitch on the main team for these guys. 87 stuff, 79 movement, 64 control, and a good stamina too. Bullpen rest for Jose Mendez. I have no sound. That is weird. Usually I can hear the packs opening. We got a rookie sensation, Cody Ash. We got like 35 packs. There's some gold packs at the end. Some of this was turning in collections, so there's a couple gold packs at the end here, so we'll see what we get. This team is in need of some improvement. They made it up to bronze for 1 week, and now we're back down to iron and kind of struggling. So these teams just get built by packs is the big thing for me. Every team except for the main team gets built completely by packs. We win from tournaments or buying packs or whatever. There's a Mark Eichhorn. I do not know if we're going to see him today, but he is part of the Tim Salmon and the name game mission for Mark. So, solid gold collection pickup right there. Decent start for packs, first 10 packs. Your main is stuck in diamond. My main is in diamond this week. They will not be stuck in diamond. They will, well, there's a pack for you. They will be back in gold next week. We got a Jason Cubell, 70 contact, 74 power, and Adobe Moore. Nice looking card there. Shortstop, Dobie Moore, 71 defense, 76 contact. I think there's probably better options at shortstop, but we'll see today. We'll see if he shows up on our list today. 2 Negro League cards in our first 10 or so packs. That's crazy, guys. Your current gold build last 10 is 248,000. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not cheap. They're not cheap. You don't have I can't find a Magadan. I can't. He doesn't exist. There's none available this week. We'll talk about him when we get there. I'm not gonna say he's number 1 on any of the lists today, but I want that card. Les Fleming. Interesting silver first baseman. Solid power, contact, eye across the board. Okay defense at first base, but it's first base, so you get what you get. Who's that? Magadan's number 1 in your heart? I'm not surprised. Good morning, kidneys. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by today. is more competitive, low diamond, gold, or bronze? I think gold is the most competitive of those right now. I think that bronze fires off so much that it seems competitive because you're going to get into tournaments very quickly and lose tournaments very quickly, and so it's going to feel competitive. But I think gold is the most, for the people who put time into gold, I think it's the most competitive and the probably a pretty high barrier to entry versus what you're going to win. I enjoy it just because I find the cards interesting and fun. But this is not a low barrier to entry tournament by any means. There's Jake Cronenworth. He might be silver pretty soon. He's having a pretty solid season. But I've been saying that since the beginning of May, so what do I know? 10 packs left on this team. What are we talking about? Whenever you get Magadan, you freak out. Yeah, right? I haven't seen one anywhere. There's not one available in any of the weekly tournaments this week. I know that. I haven't found one on the auction house, and I would sell basically, at this point, Tom Glavine for him. What do we got left? 6 packs? I had like 5 packs on some of the other teams. We might save those for the end. We might save those for the end of the stream. Here's our gold packs. We got a Dalton Jeffries here. He'll probably play on the main team here. It's not a very good main team. The Decimals version 2 is a work in progress. We'll take a Jordan Balazovic and a very quickly plummeting to earth Christian Vazquez. Sad face. James Paxton, who won't pitch again this year. Omar Narvaez. Jared Kelenic got sent down to AAA this week. Is silver more expensive than gold? No, I don't think so. So the silver collections are more expensive than the gold collections, from what I can tell, in my little time doing collection stuff. But the teams, like the tournament teams, your gold team's probably going to be more expensive than your silver team. There's a Contreras and a Jose Cruz in our final pack. Let's go like this, and we're going to tell the AI, hey guy, get those new players in our lineup for us. Thanks. We appreciate it. We're going to do that again because I think we missed the download, so that probably just messed everything up. Yes, Darth Icarus, I agree. If you're looking to quickly get into tournaments and quickly build a team that is capable of winning, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. So all types, all players, we're going to filter. We're going to go perfect team card values, at least 80. I don't think there's anybody lower than 80 that we need to add to the roster. We're going to activate all of these cards, which is 52 cards, and then we're going to go over here, and we're going to re-ask the AI to set up this team for us and see how that does. Kid Nichols is our big historical perfect that we have here, and he's been kind of a mixed bag. Not my favorite historical legend that I've seen by any stretch of the imagination. We do have Trot Nixon on this team, which I love, although he kind of isn't very good. It's kind of exactly what I would have expected from a Trot Nixon card, if I'm being totally honest. I wish it was a peak Trot Nixon, high silver. You know, I'm on record saying that what I want out of a Trot Nixon card, but Strasburg's here, 94, Nichols, Bieber, and Cole on this team, whatever. Did we finish any collections? Whoops, we finished some collections while we were going through there. We'll save those. We're going to save those packs. Let me switch over to the main team, and then we're going to get into some stats today. How about that? Your optimized gold roster runs are pretty steady, around 60 to 62%. Nice. It's yeah, it's not cheap. I think my team is probably a tier below yours, a step below yours. There are some teams out there that are really, really, really good. I forgot my password. There we go. There are definitely some teams out there that are very, very good at gold. So, has Strasburg ever have a good season? No. Don't you want to make your own lineups? The high prices of silver. Do I want to make my own lineups? I do, occasionally. When you have a good team, you don't. You'll do what mine does and get a nice collection of first-round exits. First-round exits definitely happen in gold. A lot. Wish you could finish the... Yeah, I wish I could finish the Yankees team mission, too. I gave up. Let's see. What else are we seeing here in chat? Is the return on investment for a gold team that much better? No, I don't believe so. Thinking about switching one of your side teams that is sitting on 400k to gold, but I already make packs in bronze. No, I don't think the return on investment in gold is as good as in bronze. I honestly don't. Like I said, so my main team does gold because I enjoy it. It's not. This isn't for packs or anything like that. It's I enjoy gold. I enjoy the cards in gold. I enjoy the data that I get from gold. There's some really cool stuff in here, and I enjoy the players that are up here. And so I have 4 accounts, and so one does iron, one does bronze, one does silver, one does gold and higher. And so when you start talking about return on investment, I think gold probably has the lowest return on investment from those. Silver can get expensive too, but they kick off just a little bit faster, and there's less really, really awesome teams in there. As if you start getting into gold, you're going to see some teams over and over that are just phenomenal. The one thing I will say, though, is that if you can build a good gold team, your team will be more consistent than your bronze team, just inherently because of the ratings and stuff like that. Bronze cards are less consistent. Bronze pitchers are less consistent. Bronze hitters are less consistent. And so if you put the time and money into building a really good gold team and the sliders and spend time working on like your sliders and stuff like that, I think you can really build a consistent gold team that's going to perform more consistently. And you can see that just by looking at the other teams. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of money I still need to spend on this team. And I'm still working the sliders on this team, but you can see it here because you can see a few teams out there that are just awesome every single time. Every single time you see them, like there's teams that sweep me, that just wipe the floor with me every time we run into them. And you don't see that in bronze. Like you can throw a bronze team together, say, let's take 26 random bronze cards, let the AI put it together, and once a day, you're probably going to stumble into a 3rd or 4th place finish by accident. I don't think you can do that in gold. I think you really have to take some time in gold to put the team together, which I like. I think that's a solid, it's just a good format. I enjoy it because of all of those reasons. Whoever has the highest movement rating, since that's the meta. There's a little bit of that. And let's see. Lynch, yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult to win a gold tournament by accident. You really have to put some time and some effort. You can do it with cheaper cards. So it's possible to do it with cheaper cards, but you're going to have to spend some time getting your strategies set really well and getting your your lineup set really well, your fatigue settings really well, and you're probably going to have to micromanage just a little bit if you're going to take a lower rated team through gold. But that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to do something a little different today. So one of the not complaints necessarily, but one of the feedbacks I've gotten is that we don't spend enough time on pitchers or outfielders because we usually hit the outfielders and I have to rush. And the good news is it's summer vacation, so I don't have to leave at any given time to pick the kids up. The bad news is my voice lasts about 3 hours anyway, and I'm usually done by then. So we're not going to go too much longer than that. But we're going to start with the pitchers, and then we're going to do outfielders, and then we'll do catchers this week. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. Keep you guys on your toes. How about that? You don't have the big movement pitchers on your gold roster, especially in the rotation other than Keuchel. We'll see how it goes. So we're going to start with pitchers. And number 15 is Tex Houston. Again, pitchers this week are still just rated by FIP. So we're just going by FIP, and everything else is kind of branching off of that. We had 18 qualifiers this week, minimum 200 innings pitched, and I will say I started collecting data on Thursday, which was right before Thursday night's drop. So it's mostly from Thursday night's card drop and beyond. So it's mostly from just the last 5 days or so. And so we'll see how it goes. Tex Houston is your 10th most used pitcher, both all time. Whenever I redid the spreadsheet, and this past week, 970 innings pitched this past week. He dropped a 435 FIP on us. Let's see, averages, earned run average is 406. FIP is 4. And this is all starting pitchers, I believe. All qualifying starting pitchers all time. So keep that in mind. This is one thing that I'm still kind of working out a little bit. 1.3 whip, 5.7 strikeouts per 9, 0.65 home runs per 9, 2.47 walks per 9 innings, and a 69% inherited runner percentage are your averages for all of your starting pitchers. The meta right now, let's dive a little deeper into that. It's not a screen cap, I don't think. So we got 26% left-handed batters, 59% right-handed, 13% switch all time. Not a lot of change recently. 27, 58, and 14 on the batters. So really not a big change at all there for your batter meta over the last week or so. Starting pitchers are almost exactly where they were before. 62% left, 37% right. Now they're 62.9, 37% right. And your relief pitchers are trending slightly right-handed by like 2%. So 38% lefty, 61% righty all time, 36% lefty, 63% righty over the last week or so. So a slight trend towards the right-handed pitching, but not enough that I think it's a huge shift in the meta right now or anything like that. So just keep that. Just interesting stuff for you to keep in mind going forward. Again, minimum 4 innings pitched per game for guys with more than 200 innings pitched. That's how they qualified for a starting pitcher gig. And you'll see we have a lot more relievers qualified than starters. There were only 18 starting pitchers that qualified. And I don't think that the top 3 or 4 quite head and shoulders above everybody else, as we see in like bronze, where it's Gross and Satchel Paige and the other guy, I forget, Bonham, over everybody else. Like I don't think they're quite heads and shoulders, but I think there's some guys who are definitely better than the rest of the pack. So Houston is at number 15. Not very good. 435 FIP, 478 earned run average over 970 innings pitched. I think he's readily available right now, which is why you're seeing him get used quite a bit. He's got a good stamina too. So if you're running a lot of really low stamina pitchers in your rotation, which I don't think is something you have to do here in Gold, but if you happen to be running a bunch of like 60 stamina guys out there, Houston can potentially be a guy that you plug in as like your number 3 or 4 starter just to give your bullpen a rest and like punt a game and just have him pitch as long as he can till his arm falls off. But he is top 5 in innings pitched per game. But overall, just doesn't perform all that well. 17th in earned run average, 474 strikeouts per 9, which is 16th out of 18. Bottom half in home runs, bottom half of these starting pitchers in walks as well for Tex Houston. He comes in at number 15. I probably should have just done 10 pitchers, but oh well. We'll burn through the first 5 really quickly. Not huge splits. He's actually got a little bit of a reverse split thanks to that screwball you're seeing on Tex Houston there. Actually does not have a reverse split. He is better versus. I'm confused. I was wrong. Ignore my last statement. Number 14 is Build a Legend Jake Peavy. Only 372 innings pitched for him, but a 432 FIP and a 447 earned run average, neither of which are very good. 1426 whip, 4.84 innings pitched per game is also pretty low. 13th through 15th, and all of those out of 18 is pretty sad. Second to last in strikeouts per 9, 12th in home runs per 9, and 10th in walks per 9 innings for him, as well as some inherited runner issues for Jake Peavy as well in the times that he does pitch out of the bullpen. It is a 74% start percentage for him. His FIP is coming up just a little bit from 4.18 to 4.32, so it looks like the extended innings pitched is not helpful to Jake Peavy. We'll move on to number 13. Number 13, I'm a little sad to see him this low, is Denny Nagel. Denny Nagel's a guy that's been a little bit of a mainstay in my rotation. All-time ranks 13th out of 25 with a 425 FIP, but you're seeing his numbers are right in line here. A 425 FIP for Denny Nagel, 425 earned run average, 1.354 whip is inside the top 10. Everything else is not great. Only 5.5 strikeouts per 9. Home runs are an issue for him, 2.42 walks per 9. A guy named Tex playing. Yeah, that's you sold your Magan and Larkin last week for 359. I wish you would have told me. I would have bought one or both of those off of you. I can't find them on the auction house at all. Nagel usually pitches well for you. Nagel usually pitches well for me as well, but I'm a little surprised. So up until really right now, Denny Nagel's been a little bit more of a better performer. And so just a little bit of a drop over the last couple days or so, as I haven't looked at him too much the last couple days. And he has dropped a bit. 425 FIP, 535 strikeouts per nine. Everything getting a little bit worse. Well, the home runs came up a little bit. The walks are right in line with his all-time numbers. So it looks like that's probably about what you can expect. Yeah, I definitely think Nagel's a tier below. He's not a bad 4 or 5, I don't think. He's pretty the thing about him is he's pretty consistent from what I've seen. And I think you're seeing him get hit a little bit by the left-handed batters now too. They're starting to get to him just a little bit, even though it hasn't changed all that much. Denny Nagel comes in at number 13. I do think he's consistent, and I think he's an easy to get like 4 or 5 starters. So he's one of those positions where you can get a guy who kind of performs okay for relatively cheap, and then use the points you have elsewhere. Bob Ewing comes in at number 12. What a disappointment this card was. I got this guy as a tournament reward, and he's been a mixed bag at best. 423 FIP for him over the last 369 innings, all-time 994 innings at a 413 FIP, which isn't bad. It's right around league average. Does strike some guys out, almost top 5 there. Good at home run suppression is just the walks, guys. Set him to not ever pitch around. I took him out of my rotation this weekend for some reason. I think I got, oh, you know what it was? I got a guy that I really wanted to add, and Ewing was the odd man out. So he's been an okay performer. Again, when I got this card out of that tournament, I looked at it, I was like, man, I really like this card. But again, I think he's suffering a little bit from the heavy right-handed meta on the batters right now. So the counter meta right now is just right-handed hitters. Like, just put as many good right-handed hitters in there as you can, and because all the starters are lefty. And so maybe it shifts soon. I don't know. We'll see. You have the perfect Houston only because he was so cheap. He's nowhere near your roster. Yeah, he's not. It's not great. Yeah, the laugh out loud weird category of pitches. I added that a couple weeks ago. Let's see. So in your main perfect team, you just can't do anything with pitchers who have under 80 movement. In silver, Langston and Verlander both have been 5.5 ERA. So movement, interesting. That's an interesting conversation. Maybe it may be about your defense, but it may be just about park factors or something like that too, or your strategies with your pitchers. You entered your first gold lineup last night. Hopefully your team doesn't look too far off. We'll see. Number 11 is Yunjin Ryu. Live. 793 innings pitched, 1,289 all-time. 421 FIP for him, guys. 429 earned run average. Pitches a little bit better versus righties, but not a huge split. The stamina is a little bit low. He was previously an 85 and actually bumped up to an 88 this month. Top 5 in strikeouts per nine, top 5 in walks as well. So he's pitching okay. He's probably a pretty cheap option to add to your rotation if you can't afford some of the higher level guys. And again, kind of similar to that Nagel, where it looks like he's probably a semi-consistent performer. And so a guy who you can fill your rotation for a little bit is cheap, can eat a little bit of innings for you. Maybe not get you a ton of wins, but maybe keep you in the tournament just a little bit to let your starters or your bullpen or whatever rest. Or if you just can't figure out how to fill that 4th or 5th starting pitcher slot, Yunjin Ryu is number 11. Number 10, Negro League Stars, Leon Day. Another card I really, really want to like, but just hasn't performed that great in the times that I've seen him. He didn't last very long in my rotation. I moved back to Bob Ewing, although he appears to be performing slightly better. But you can see early on, it was a 452, and now over the last 1,000 or so innings pitched, it's a 4.16 FIP. So maybe people starting to figure out the sliders on that high stuff, low movement, low control. Maybe he's only pitching for a couple teams who really have their sliders down well. That's something I've started focusing on this week, because if you look very closely, the presentation is exactly the same as it was last week. I didn't have to make any changes to the presentation. So yesterday I was able to sit down with my team and my sliders and make some adjustments and see how that goes for us. So that's something I'm not going to talk about too much today. I think I'm going to do that Thursday. I think I'm going to dive into sliders on Thursday on my channel. Veteran caps and open gold. You're lost at setting sliders. I'm working on it. I hope I can get it sometime soon. Who's good in a cap? Better in caps than open gold. Slibbard says for Leon Day. I agree. You're probably right on Leon Day. He might be better in caps just because you start seeing those lower power guys, the teams that are like filled with filler, the silver and bronze and iron fillers. So maybe sliders can't make this profile better. Probably not. I really think that this is a card that's underperformed. I grabbed him early on, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Did not perform. I'm hanging on to him just for collection purposes at this point, but not in love with Leon Day. Is my channel on Twitch? My channel is on Twitch. My wife has recommended that I start editing my videos and putting them up on YouTube as well. We'll see if that's something I can figure out how to do anytime soon. Number 9 is starting pitcher snapshot 1910 Chicago White Sox Irv Young. Here is a high movement guy, but splits towards lefties. And so, I mean, he is what he is. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's got a 415 FIP overall right now. 386 earned run average puts him at 7th. Out-pitching his FIP by almost 0.3 of a point. Strikeouts at 5.08, but home run suppression, he's number 4, which is very, very helpful. Home run suppression. He does have pretty good stamina. Thank you for the follow, Roman a day. Thank you very much. Over on the other channel. Innings pitched per game, he's 4th, so good stamina for him, good hold runners as well. He's a ground ball pitcher, which is a little bit more useful here in gold because you start seeing pretty solid defense here in gold as opposed to down in silver and bronze, where the ground ball pitchers sometimes have pretty serious batting average, ball in play issues. I really like Irv Young. I think he's a pretty solid pitcher. Comes in at number 9 in FIP, but you can see all time his FIP at 4.03. It looks like he struggled a little bit over the last, few days or so. But overall, the home run suppression is still there. The strikeouts came down just a little bit, and the walks are right in line with his all-time walks. So I think Irv Young is a pretty solid contributor and a pretty consistent pitcher as we start getting into these guys who are pretty good. Thank you, JZZ298, for the follow. Number 8. I love this card. He comes in at number 8. He is your most used all time. He's your 3rd most used this week. I'm really, really surprised to see him this low. The home runs are an issue for Dan Lynch, but everything else is really good. He is 14th out of 18 in innings pitched per game. I think he gets used, the 70% start percentage is a little bit lower than some of the other full-time starting pitchers you see. He pitches well versus lefties. He pitches pretty well versus righties. There is a slight split towards lefties. I am really surprised to see his FIP this low. All-time, he is 7th, 409, with a 403 earned run average, a 395 earned run average over the course of this week, though. Lynch has been a very, very consistent performer as well. I consider him a top 5 gold pitcher, even though the numbers aren't quite playing it out. The FIP isn't quite playing it out. I have a feeling we're going to see some small sample sizes up near the top of this list today. I didn't go through the list this morning to see what was there, so everything's going to be a surprise to me. This is part of the reason you're seeing these numbers a little bit higher. He just gets used so much that we talk a lot about the players who we have small sample size issues with, right? There's also players that we have really, really big sample sizes with, and Daniel Lynch is one of those. Weaver, Duke, Keuchel are probably going to be one of those too. Thank you. Your name is not Chris. I'm not going to try to guess what your name is because there's a lot of other names out there that are not Chris. But thank you for the follow. FIP at 4.12. But again, Lynch is a very, very consistent performer. Number 7 is Zach Duke, who has been a mainstay in my rotation. He's kind of the opposite profile of Dan Lynch, right? You've got a guy who's high stuff, low movement, high control with 3 pretty solid pitches and a curveball. And then you've got Zach Duke, who's a low stuff, high movement, low control pitcher with 5 kind of pretty good pitches. Duke has been a consistent performer for me as well. A 407 FIP, a 399 FIP for him all time. So his FIP has come up just a little bit. ERA at 385. Another Roman a day follow. Thank you. Again, 385 ERA for him. Strikeouts aren't his thing. Suppressing walks aren't his thing. Suppressing home runs are Zach Duke's thing. You're going to want good defense behind him. He is going to need good defense, and it looks like a lot of the teams that are running him are putting out pretty good defense. Because his FIP is higher than his earn run average, that tells me that the defense is playing pretty well behind him. Does have a little bit of a whip issue. You're going to have balls in play, but he's not going to turn that into home runs. You do need good defense behind Zach Duke, though. Your second favorite gold pitcher. I like him. Yeah, sliders make a big difference for Duke as well. You're going to want to not pitch around as much as some of the other guys here. Can't use as a pinch hitter. Stealing. What's up, the nameless poet? I see steals, and I know exactly who is posting in chat. Don't even have to look at the name. Thanks for stopping by today. Logan Gilbert comes in at number 6. All time, he's below 4 innings pitched. So that's why you see these really annoying NAs here. I haven't fixed the formula to show something that makes sense there. But this week he dropped a 4.02 FIP. Again, a little bit lower innings pitched per game. 2,000 innings pitched for him, mostly as a reliever. You can see the 51% start percentage here as well for Gilbert. Just coaxing out, getting that 4 innings pitched per game. Just kind of got over it barely. Over the 4 innings pitched per game, but 6th and 5th in earned run average. I think he's probably better suited to be out of the bullpen and probably not as a stopper. You're probably going to want him coming in for clean innings because home runs are going to be an issue for him, and hold runners is an issue as well. So keep in mind, when you talk about hold runners, it's not just, I talk about it occasionally, it's not just pickoff moves, right? It's how it's how well they pitch when they're running through like a slide step and trying to pitch holding the runners on. They can lose control. They can lose some movement on their pitches as well. So 44 hold runners is not a guy that I want coming in with like runners on second and third or first and third to try to be my stopper. He's really probably going to need clean innings. The nice thing about him is that he can pitch multiple innings. So maybe good as a long reliever, maybe good as like a follower or something like that. Not huge splits here, so you don't have to use them as a specialist. It's just 5 points of stuff, 3 points of movement, 2 points of control, which is there. But if a pitcher has low control, you turn a pitch around, way down, off. Potentially, yes. Yeah, it depends on the pitcher. Again, I'm still kind of messing around with the sliders a little bit. I'm going to go more into depth on it very soon because I've started working on sliders and stuff like that a little bit more over the last couple days, and I'm going to work on it a little bit more tonight, and then I hope to Thursday be able to go a little bit more in depth on sliders and be able to talk to them a little bit more intelligently. But in general, yes, if you have a pitcher with a low control, you're going to want to turn pitch around, way down or off. Now the catch there is if he has low movement and low control, where's the guy we just saw like that? If he has low movement and low control, if you're pitching around less, this movement's going to get you into trouble with home runs. So just keep that in mind. So it's not a be-all, end-all, but in general, yes. You're going to want to do low control guys, pitch around less. They'll walk less. If that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense. Number 5 is Build a Legend Tim Hudson, who is last in strikeouts per 9. That formula is messed up too. Just under 4 strikeouts per 9, the only player under 4 on the list. His FIP is at 3.94. His earned run average is at 4.46. This guy needs defense behind him probably more than any other pitcher on this list. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher with a very low stuff. He's not going to strike guys out. He's not going to walk guys, although 12th in walks per 9 is probably a function of him being set to pitch around all the time for whatever reason. The high movement's going to keep balls in play, so he's not going to let up a ton of home runs. The home run suppression is good, but man, are you ever going to need the best defense ever behind Tim Hudson. Hudson with a good defense can be effective. Hudson does not appear to be getting a lot of help from his defense right now. He's a full half of a run in ERA behind his FIP. I think that he can be an effective card. The home run suppression is for real. This is a weird card where, you have the high control, but he's struggling with walks a little bit. So I might actually set him to pitch around less, which is useful with the higher movement for Hudson. I don't think my defense is good enough right now to run him out there. I try to get a little bit of offense, which didn't work overnight. I try to get a little bit of offense out of my team at certain positions, and I don't think I have the defense that could run a Tim Hudson. Maybe I do. I don't know. I'd have to look into it a little bit more closely. But if you're running really solid defense, if you're going all in on pitching and defense, I think Hudson can be effective. But you're going to need really spectacular defense behind him. What's up, Dishnet? Thanks for dropping by. Number 4 is our first proven winner of the day, Hilton Smith. The profile looks not great, right? The profile just doesn't look all that great. He's dropping a 3.9 FIP, 3.94 all time. He is your 5th most used this time. This is the guy I added to my rotation last night. I happened to find him on the auction house and was like, I have to buy this card. It's a card I've been looking for a while. 3.6 earned run average. Very, very good control. He's number 1 in walk suppression. He does have a little bit of a home run issue. He does have a little bit of a strikeout issue. Like, the peripherals don't look great, but he continues to get it done. You run Hudson over Hilton. I can see that. I can see Hudson being a guy that you would want to play over Hilton. I do consider him my number 4 or 5 starter. And he is probably the first guy that'll go if he starts struggling a little bit. But so far, I've really liked what I've seen out of him. Set him to pitch around a lot. And he's not going to strike guys out. Again, you're going to need good defense. He's not going to strike a ton of guys out. He'll let up some home runs every now and then. But he's been very, very consistent. A 3.94 FIP over 7,400 innings pitched with a 384 earned run average, and you can see that's even come down a little bit to a 3.6. Again, I think the defense is just good enough here at Gold to make a profile like Hilton Smith. This is a profile that I don't think would work very well in silver or bronze or iron, but I think you can make it work here for your Gold team because there is some pretty good defense here. You're on Hudson over Hilton. Let's see. He just went. Yeah, he's here. Now, keep in mind that when we talk about proven winners, right? So we talk about this proven winner alert. And for those who have missed it over the last couple weeks, this is something I added 2 weeks ago, I think. Maybe last week. Sorry, I got a hiccup going on there. What I look at is all of the instances the players show up in tournaments, how many teams they're on versus how many teams they're in, where they go in each tournament. So they get 1 point for making the second round, 2 points for making it to the third round, 3 points for the semis, 4 points for being a finalist, 5 points for a champion. And then I look at their percentage of points. So out of the top 100 players that have shown up, Hilton Smith is in that top 100. He has 28.76% of his points, which puts him in the top 20 of people getting points percentages, which tells me that Hilton Smith, he gets a proven winner alert. And I'm going to dive into that stuff on Thursday on my channel and show you guys exactly what's going on there. I'm not going to do it too much today because this stream just gets so long as it is. One thing to keep in mind here in Gold is that some of these cards get very expensive, and some of these cards get very difficult to get. And so I think there's a little bit of a skew for the proven winners on this one towards players that are on teams that are very good. And so Hilton Smith is one of those guys. He's a little bit expensive. He's generally going to be on teams that are well constructed, that are well put together, players who put a lot of time into their teams. And so I think that there's going to be a little bit of a skew there for players that are towards players that spend a lot more time putting their teams together here. Isn't there a bronze or iron starter with a similar profile in the top 5 of their class? I don't remember off the top of my head. So many numbers go through my head that I don't even think about it. You are awesome. Right? Don't play. If you end up against Brydav's team, just forfeit, guys. Seriously. I give up. I'm not even interested in playing against his teams anymore. They're very good. Aaron Harang comes in at number 3, guys. 241 innings, small sample size alerts on Aaron Harang. Very good stuff. Low movement, very good control. You're going to want to set him to pitch around, and I'm not sure how long this number holds up. I really think that the walk number is going to come up. One of these numbers, to me, comes up at some point, but he's dropping a 384 FIP and a 277 earned run average over the last 241 innings. Again, small sample size alert here for Harang. I actually kind of like this profile and want to give him a try in my rotation. I don't think I have yet. I don't think he's in my rotation just yet. You can see that his FIP has come down. His ERA has come way down over the last 240 innings pitched or so. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on Aaron Harang just yet, but his last 240 innings is pretty interesting. Usually pick him in perfect draft when he's there. Yeah, I think these numbers probably come up, but you know, you can't argue with a 359 earned run average, right? His whip is pretty good all time too. 1272, 1139 whip for him over this period. So I think if you set him up right, again, I think with the sliders, if you set sliders up for Aaron Harang, I think he can be effective. I don't think he's a top 3. I don't think he's a must-have in gold by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he can be effective. He can be a very effective 3, 4, 5 starting pitcher for you. Also, a relatively high stamina. Number 1 in innings pitched per game. It's 7.29. That's hilarious. That's a lot of innings for Aaron Harang. Number 2 is Jared Weaver. I don't have enough bad things to say about this card. That's not true. So I pulled this card in a pack. I've pulled this card like 3 times now. When he first came out, I was like, man, that card looks awesome. He's got very little splits. He's got like a billion D pitches that he can throw. He's got awesome stamina. He's a fly ball pitcher in a format where we're seeing like 0.65 home runs per 9 innings. So I think this card can be awesome. And it struggled out the gate. At first, it didn't look good. It wasn't putting up good numbers. I actually pulled him out of my rotation for a little while, and usually pick him up in perfect draft. He's not actually that good, but you have him at a 3.9 over 2,500. If you have any data on Wilbur Wood, we'll see what I can find on him. We'll take a look and see if I can find him anywhere in our numbers. Anywhere. Weaver has a lot of pitches. I mean, that's what I can say about him. Set him up to pitch around. You've got sub 2 walks. He's top 6 in walks, top 10 in home runs per 9. So he's top half in all of these. The peripherals look okay, right? They look kind of okay. Number 2 in FIP, number 4 in earned run average, right in line with each other. It's a card that has started to be a little bit more effective than it was before. I think sliders are really important here in gold, and so I think if you set your sliders up on Jared Weaver effectively, he can be a very effective pitcher. He's got the number 2 FIP right now. Number 2 FIP all time in 14,000 innings. I've been so wishy-washy on this card. I don't know whether I want to love it or whether I want to hate it. I really can't decide, but the numbers look pretty good for him. Number 1, are we all surprised? Number 1 is Dallas Keuchel. Your hardware heroes, Dallas Keuchel. Proven winner, Dallas Keuchel. 3 proven winners on our starting pitcher list. So there you go. Number 1 in FIP at 3.4, over 10,000 innings. Number 2 in ERA at 3.38. Again, over almost 11,000 innings. He is the most used pitcher now. He is kind of the go-to right now. For him to be the most used starting pitcher and a proven winner says something about Dallas Keuchel. This is a very, very good performing card. Well performing. English is difficult sometimes at this time of day. This is a fantastic card. Good stuff. Very little splits. The stuff splits 2 points towards right. The movement splits 2 points towards left, and 3 points of control towards left as well. It doesn't on its face look like it should be that good of a card, right? 61 fastball, 98 change, 61 curveball, 96 stamina, ground ball pitcher for Dallas Keuchel, 3.4 FIP over 10,000 innings. That's what you're going to get out of him. I almost feel like you can set your sliders up however you want with this guy, and he's going to be effective. I set him slightly to pitch around, but not very high. I'm still working on that just a little bit and trying to fine tune him. I think there are definitely sliders in there that you can set for Dallas Keuchel that will make him more effective. I'm going to go with pitch around a little bit less, get those strikeouts going maybe. I don't know. I'm not sold on the sliders, but I really think He's one of the pitchers on this list that I really don't think you can mess his sliders up so badly that he's going to be ineffective. Like if you set Jared Weaver up to never pitch around, right? I think he's going to get rocked. But with Keuchel, I don't think there's a great I don't think there's a slider that you can set for him that's going to make him really, really ineffective. I really think that this is a card. I don't understand how it's gold. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's got to be just because it's only 3 pitches. It's got to be because 2 of his pitches aren't great. And I really think this is a card that's going to be very, very effective in gold. Really, probably throughout the cycle. Dallas Keuchel at number 1 among your starting pitchers. You thought his price started high because he came out right before the Gold Cap Master Series. Yeah, probably. And it's dropped. It was $18K on Sunday. Market got flooded. Yeah, there were a lot of them after Saturday. I think it's a pretty select group of people at this point who run gold a lot, and I don't think there's a huge group of people who run gold. So that's the thing with silver. I think there's a very large group of people who run silver, and also the barrier on the silver collection cards makes the silver cards really expensive. There are definitely some very expensive gold cards on here. On the pitcher list, there's not too many really expensive cards. Hilton Smith is pretty expensive. Weaver's super cheap, like really super cheap. Keuchel, I don't know is he still going for 10 to 18,000? 2 of them just came on the auction house at 12. You only run gold, basically. You see a lot of the same faces. Yeah, and so I don't think it's a huge group of people. So what you run into then is the really good performing silver cards get expensive because there's a ton of people, and there's a lot of demand for those. I don't think there's quite as much of a demand right now for the gold cards. Now, if you guys start running it, the demand's going to go up. Dallas Keuchel is a really, really awesome card. And keep in mind, one of the perfect team championship series is gold. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in on those. I don't know when they're going to unlock them. So I'm going to set Keuchel as my number 1 starter. I'm going to set Weaver as my number 2. Man, you know what? I want to find a harangue. I'm going to see if I can find a harangue and see what we can't get out of him. Hilton Smith is my number 4, and Dan Lynch is my number 5. I don't have the defense for a Tim Hudson. My number 5 would normally be Zach Duke, but I have to choose between Duke and Lynch because I'm going to try to get that harangue into the rotation somewhere. So I'm going to call it Lynch as my number 3. I'm missing 2 of those guys. That's not accurate. Says I'm missing. Oh, that's what it is. I haven't added. I bought Smith last night, and I haven't redone my collection list yet. So that's why Smith is missing. I need to find a harangue, and we'll see how that goes. That's what I'm going to do for my rotation for this week, and we'll check in on them on Thursday and see how they're doing. Again, Thursday, I'm going to dive into sliders just a little bit, I think. Signups open Saturday at noon. Thanks, Dish. What am I doing Saturday? I hope I'm available Saturday at noon. One good thing about using harangue over a future legend is it's easier to run 11 pitchers. 11 pitchers. That's something I've considered recently too. I have not gotten to that point yet, but I have considered it. Relievers, we had 42 qualifying relief pitchers. Perhaps I should have set the innings pitch per game cutoff at 3 instead of 4, but it is what it is. Let's see what we get. Do you guys mind if I go refresh my coffee before we hit relief pitchers? I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a quick break, refresh my coffee. We're already 45 minutes in. So I'll be back in just a minute. See you in a minute. I told you we'd be quick. Relief pitchers. Again, 42 qualifying relief pitchers, so I promise you that your pitcher is not going to be on this list. There's a really good chance that your favorite pitcher might not be on this list. It's possible. We'll see what the top 15 look like. Garrett Crochet gets a lot of use as a starting pitcher. Not a lot, but some use as a starting pitcher. Averages 2.7 innings pitched per game, and is 15th in FIP at 3.95. Earn run average at 3.43 for Crochet. He's one of those future legend cards that performs pretty well. He's got some splits versus lefties, some pretty big splits versus lefties, which makes him, I think, a bit of a specialist, but I don't think his numbers versus righties are unusable by any stretch of the imagination. You can use him as a starting pitcher. I wouldn't use too many guys with a 44 stamina at starting pitcher here in gold. I think your bullpen will get beat up pretty quickly. But I think Crochet is a pretty solid option as a long relief pitcher and potentially as a specialist. 11 pitchers with almost all of the bullpen being future legends has been successful. Makes sense. You started building your gold best of 7 yesterday. Hopefully you get some of your guys. You'd be interested in seeing the splits in terms of batters faced. I wish I could do that, Dan. It does not. I can't do that. There's no way for me to download split stats in Out of the Park right now. I'm hoping it's something I'm begging for next season, but I cannot. If I set it to split stats, it just everything goes to 0. So unfortunately, that's the way that is. Bridehav still starts Crochet. I'm just throwing that out there. He's 15th among relief pitchers, but again, can also start if you want him to. Number 14 is Clark Schmidt, who I kicked to the sun. He is a versus righties almost specialist, maybe not quite. He can pitch versus lefties too. 3.92 FIP form, 367 earned run average. This is a card I wish performed a little bit better than it does. He's pretty mediocre. 2.26 innings pitched per game. So again, getting used a little bit as a longer reliever. You put Lynch and Crochet as your 2 lefties in your bullpen. I don't think that's a bad option either. He's 14th in FIP, 12th in strikeouts, 17th in home runs, and 21st in walks per 9 out of 42 guys. So kind of top half. Everything's Schmidt is just like, he's filler. I think he's a solid option as a filler, but don't expect him to make or break your team. I mean, he might break your team. But 14th in FIP for him. I don't love this card. I don't hate it either though. It's one of those cards I'm very, very ambivalent on. Somebody sell you a Wickman before I get to him? I'm not sure if Wickman made the list yet. We'll see. Number 13 is Dalton Jeffries, also getting almost 4 innings pitched per game, so long relief / starts, 44% start percentage for Dalton Jeffries. Very high stuff, lower movement, very high control. Set him to pitch around, and I think he can probably be pretty effective for you. For Dalton Jeffries, just the 3 pitches, fastball, changeup, slider for Dalton Jeffries. A little bit of a split towards righties, which is helpful in this format with all the right-handed hitters. 5,000 innings pitched for him. These future legends get used a lot. And so, again, Jeffries is one of those guys that I think if you set the sliders up right, then you can get some very effective performances out of him. If you don't set the sliders right, he's probably going to get rocked. So make sure you're having him pitch around. Maybe not all the way, but I would probably set him pretty close to pitch around all the way with that control. I think you're still going to see a pretty solid walks per 9. It might drop out of the number 1 spot if you set him to pitch around all the time, but it might not. I'm a little surprised to see the strikeouts per 9 as low as it is. 6.87 has him 24th out of 42. So I'm a little surprised to see him that low as the 89, 99 stuff, but I don't know. That's a little bit weird to me. I would expect to see his strikeouts. Sorry, slightly higher than that. Number 12 is one-hit wonder Orber Moreno, who I just added to my team this weekend, and promptly dropped out of the top 6. He was like 6th when I added him. So obviously I'm doing something wrong with Orber Moreno as he drops to a 3.89 FIP, 12th overall, 3.46 earn run average for him, 0.26 home runs per 9 innings. So solid home run suppression, top 5 again, out of 42 there. 6.29 strikeouts per 9 innings, and a 1.347 whip for Orber Moreno. There were 7 Keuchels. They're all gone now. Sorry. I don't mean to do that. Moreno's a little bit of a righty specialist. You got 14 points of stuff and 7 points of movement for him. You're going to want to set him to not pitch around. Very often you want him pitching in the zone. He does have just a splitter and a slider. It's an interesting profile to me. It's a card that I've seen perform well. I'm going to try to get him performing well on my team as we go, and we'll see what we can coax out of him. Next up is number 11, who is Gene Garber. Very like the opposite of the Orber Moreno profile. High movement, high control, lower stuff. 40th out of 42 in strikeouts per 9 inning. 11th and FIP at 3.87. The earned run average is a little bit lower. He's a guy that you're definitely going to want to have good defense behind. A ground ball pitcher with high movement and high control. Every ball is going to be in play with this guy. He's not going to walk anybody. He's not going to let up home runs. He's not going to strike anybody out. Make sure you have good defense behind Gene Garber, and you could get good numbers out of him. I think he's the kind of guy in gold who's probably going to always be a little bit lagging behind his FIP with his earned run average. So just keep that in mind with that extreme ground ball. Number 10 is Liam Hendriks. Live Liam Hendriks. With 714 innings pitched, he just dropped from a 92 to an 89 and appears to be effective as a relief pitcher in gold right now. 384 FIP, 362 earned run average for him. Third in strikeouts per 9 innings, fifth in walks. Good strikeouts, or good stuff, good control to go along with it. You're going to want to set him to pitch around a lot. Home runs will definitely be an issue for Hendriks, as he is a fly ball pitcher with lower movement. So make sure you're setting him to pitch around. And I think he can be effective. I don't think he's a must-have, but he looks like he can definitely be a pitcher who can help your team out. Liam Hendriks at number 10. A little bit of a right-handed split here versus righties for Hendriks. Number 9 is Ron Taylor, 1967 closer from the New York Mets. Low stuff, high movement, high control. Very similar profile to, who was it? The Garber. Just outpitching him slightly with a 3.84 FIP for him right now. 5 pitches for him. All of them mediocre or not great. So I'm a little surprised to see his numbers this good. The .43 home runs per 9. 3.84 FIP is 9th. All time he's showing 8th. But again, small sample size alert on Ron Taylor. He looks to me like a cheaper version of that Gene Garber that I don't know if he keeps up this performance. Let's see, 59, 87, 86 versus 62, 89, 86. Yeah, I think that Taylor, I think Garber long-term with the 3 solid pitches will outpitch Ron Taylor. They're very, very similar. It's just the one pitch that's a little bit better. Taylor does have 4 pitches. They're super similar. I think that Garber is going to outpitch him long term, and I don't know how many of these low stuff, high movement, high control guys you can have in your bullpen, because again, there's going to be a lot of balls in play. He is neutral as opposed to a ground ball pitcher, though, so keep that in mind for Ron Taylor. Set him to, I don't know. I'm still working on figuring out whether to pitch around or not with these high movement, high control guys. Number 8 is Build-A-Legend Joe Nathan. He's your 9th most used pitcher all time as a reliever. 1 inning pitch per game, 382 FIP, right in line with his all-time numbers. 350 earned run average, pretty much right in line with his all-time numbers. 6.78 strikeouts, 0.59 home runs, 3.07 walks. Everything's like top half of the middle of the pack here. The strikeouts are lower than I would have expected. Little bit of a specialist. Oh, my phone's in the other room and my alarm's going off. 1 second. Sorry. Little bit of a specialist here. You got 9 points of stuff, 6 points of movement, 1 point of control versus righties. No. I don't. No commission. 3.82 FIP right in line with his all-time numbers. I don't love Joe Nathan. I don't hate him. I'm another one of those cards that I'm like, I can see him being useful, but I can see him getting blown up too. I really don't know what to think about Joe Nathan. Top 10 in inherited runner percentage, though, which is nice. Number 7 is Casey Janssen, who has been a mainstay in my bullpen. Number 1 in home run suppression. You're going to want to set him to not pitch around because he will walk guys. Not going to strike a ton of guys out. So, again, another one of those guys you're really going to want good defense behind for Casey Janssen. Keuchel's relisted at 30. What a bunch of... You've never had any luck with him? I like him. He's been very good. My numbers for him are even slightly better than this. What makes me decide to pitch around? It's really the movement control combination is what makes me decide whether I'm going to pitch around. High control guys with low movement, I'm going to pitch around a lot. High movement guys with low control, I'm not going to pitch around as much. I talked about it probably 30 minutes ago, so I'm not going to go super in depth on it here. And stuff factors into it a little bit. Again, maybe Thursday I want to go more in depth onto sliders and stuff like that over on my channel. So I've had a lot of luck with Jansen. I like Jansen. He's a versus a little bit of a specialist, but not terribly a specialist. And so Jansen and Duke have been in the back end of your bullpen all year, and they routinely turn in sub 2.5 earner and average. Yeah, I've had a lot of luck with Jansen. 3.74 FIP overall for him over 820 innings. It's a lower sample size than some of the other guys on the list, and it might be mostly mine because I do run him. He's been a mainstay in my bullpen. I don't think he's necessarily a must-have, but he's been effective in my bullpen for me, and so I haven't moved on from him. I love him in Sporers. He's a fantastic pitcher in Sporers because this movement helps you avoid those home runs that take over Sporers sometimes. You got Keuchel sub. Yeah, I think I paid like 7 for him. Mike Maddox comes in at number 6. This is a guy I finally added to my bullpen. 3.7 FIP for him in 1,100 innings. Just misses the cutoff for top 10. 2180. A little bit behind up here. Another higher movement, higher control guy, similar to the Garber. His versus righties, movement and control are both just slightly higher. You got a little bit more movement, a little bit more control versus righties. I think his movement's actually a little bit lower versus lefties than the Garber. You have 2 pitches, a really bad changeup, and a decent slider, but a good fastball sinker combination. The hold runners is a little concerning for Maddox. You can see his inherited runner percentage is a little bit low at 70.59%, 39th out of 78 all time. So kind of middle of the pack there. I'm giving him a try right now. I'll let you know my results on him. I haven't downloaded the data from last night yet. All of this data is up until last night. So, really like 2 o'clock this morning. I didn't re-download the 3 tournaments I was in since I put Mike Maddox in my bullpen. So I don't have my own personal data on him yet. I think he's a similar card to Gerber that can probably over time be slightly better. High control, low movement, pitch around. High control, low movement, pitch around. Trying to think. Yes. That is exactly how I would use that. Sorry, my brain went stupid for a minute. And we froze. So let's keep talking about Mike Maddox. This is not Greg Maddox. This is Mike Maddox. 1995 Boston Red Sox snapshot. There we go. Troy Percival shows up at number 5. Special edition Troy Percival from the Anaheim Angels. This is the team card, right? The team builder card from the Angels. He's been really good. Top 5 in FIP, 366, 297 earn run average. Number 4 in strikeouts per 9, 0.48 home runs per 9, top 10 there. Set him to... So he's a guy... These are the guys that I'm really struggling trying to figure out the sliders on. The really high stuff, kind of mediocre movement, really low control. I want to not pitch around that much with him, but I feel like if you don't pitch around at all, he's going to run into home run trouble. I think his movement in particular is high enough that you can probably get away with less pitching around, especially since the control is so low. But if you see a guy like this that's like the high stuff with like a mid 60s or low 60s movement and lowish control, those are the guys I struggle with. But I really think Percival is a guy that you can have not pitch around very much. 366 FIP, 297 earned run average. He has been awesome. So finish your Anaheim Angels collection, folks, if you can. What else do we want to say about him? Nothing. Extreme fly ball, power pitcher with decent movement. Again, I think the sliders are going to be important for Percival, and I will let you guys know when I figure them out. I'm not sure. He just got into my bullpen last night too, so I don't have a ton of data on him from my team just yet. So I'll let you guys know. Eddie Fisher comes in at number 4 with 998 innings pitched. He's a right-handed specialist, very much a right-handed specialist. You've got 13 points of stuff, 9 points of movement, and a point of control towards righties. How many right-handed specialists can you fit? We've got Gerber, we've got I forget who the other guys were. Maddox is a little bit of a right-handed specialist. Is Eddie Fisher the best of them? Maybe. It depends on your team. His hold runners is awful, so if you're looking for a right-handed specialist who can be a stopper, you don't want him to be that guy. A 365 FIP, 359 all-time, has him 5th all-time in 1,400 innings. So Fisher's showing that he can be pretty effective. Hello, Kat. You're here early today. Fisher's showing that he can be effective. We're going to go to the standing desk here in a minute, if that's the way things are going to be. But he's not outpitching his FIP by all that much. 18th in earned run average for Fisher. I think he's good. The best righty specialist is Betancourt. We're getting to him. More important to finish the Indians team mission? Maybe. I like the looks of this Fisher card. I haven't been able to get my hands on him just yet. But I think I'd like to add him. The problem is there's a lot of these guys who are right-handed specialists, and I really think that you can only fit 1 or 2 of them on your team. So we'll see what the top 3 looks like, and then make our decision. Number 3 is Bob Wickman. There he is. Proven winner, Bob Wickman, 27.29%, 482 innings pitched for him. Is he the Cleveland Indians team collection guy? Or is he a tournament reward? I can't remember. There's one Fisher on the market currently. Wickman's a right-handed specialist. 93 stuff versus 70 stuff. 85 movement versus 75. The control drops a little bit, but whatever. Decent, not great hold runners. Dropping a 364 FIP for you. 289 earn run average. Bob Wickman is a tournament reward card. Probably a card I need to track down in tournaments. I don't know if there are any available this week, so we'll see. He is number 3. Very, very good versus right-handed pitching. Actually looks completely filthy versus right-handed pitching. I'm not going to lie. 93 stuff, 85 movement, 80 control versus righties is just yuck. In a good way. Stuff at 70, 75, 82 versus lefties. Still doesn't look unusable. Weird. I definitely think you'd want to set him as a righty specialist because it's hard to tell because I feel like the sliders would be different between this and this. Like if you set his sliders, I wish we could set sliders versus lefties and versus righties because that would make this card absolutely ridiculous. But we can't. And so, I don't know. You can probably set your sliders right in the middle and just hope for the best. This is a good looking card, guys. Bob Wickman. You've been hunting for him for a long time, never on the auction house when you're looking. He's probably going to be pretty effective. Doctor told Wickman he's sick. Well, Wickman said true. Next up, number 2, Mark Eichhorn. Holy right-handed specialists, guys. 84 stuff versus 63, dropping a 348 FIP for Mark Eichhorn. 94 movement, 65 control versus righties, 63 stuff, 82, 65 control versus lefties. I think he looks okay. I think under the right conditions he can be good. Maybe a bit of a poor man's Bob Wickman. I would definitely go with Wickman over Eichhorn, though I don't think this Eichhorn looks terrible as a righty. He is more of a righty specialist than Wickman, I think, which is concerning. Submariner ground ball pitcher for Eichhorn. You're going to want good defense behind him. 348 FIP, 345 earned run average, 256 innings pitched, though you can already see in 500 innings pitched, he's closer to a 3.6, 3.95 earned run average. You're going to want good defense behind Mark Eichhorn. Not that you don't want good defense behind most of these pitchers, but some of them need good defense more. The inherited runner percentage over the last week has been better. I like Wickman better as a right-handed specialist. Number 1, Rafael Betancourt comes in at number 1. Number 1 in FIP, number 1 in earned run average. This is your Cleveland Indians team collection, I believe, because I have him on my team, and that's the only way I would have gotten him because I don't win tournament rewards. Yeah, big shocker here. Betancourt is phenomenal. This card has been really, really, really good. A 327 FIP with a 274 earned run average, 6.94 strikeouts per 9 innings is not super high, but I think that it's not super low. People are probably having him pitch around a little bit more, which is leading to walks. I think you can probably get away with pitching around even a little bit less. This card is just so it's really, really good. This is a really, really good card. So finish your Indians collection, folks. He is our number 1 relief pitcher for our team. Do I want to add Mark Eichhorn just to see if I can't get some more data on him? I think I'm going to pass. I think I'm going to pass on Eichhorn for now. I think I'm going to add Wickman, who we'll never be able to find. Not on my team right now. Fisher is so redundant. We're gonna stick with Wickman as our right-hander. Percival's gonna be our relief pitcher 3 for now, our high stuff guy. See if we can't find a lefty specialist. I don't think we saw any lefty specialist. Jansen, I've had so much luck with Jansen, I just can't move on from him yet. Let's see. Maddox, we're gonna leave Maddox in there as a control guy. So that's 5. I need 2 more relief pitchers, a lefty specialist and somebody else. You want to get Hendricks in there? Do we want to try out Liam Hendricks? You think Betancourt's awful? I think Betancourt's awesome. I'm guessing the righty specialists are all there because of the all lefty books. Yeah, no, I agree. You're seeing a lot of righty specialists up here because all of the starting pitchers are lefties too. So Garber's been good. I'm going to stick with Moreno. I think I'm going to keep trying to get data on Moreno for now. And then I really want to get a solid lefty specialist, which might be Crochet. I think Crochet is going to be our lefty specialist. You're guessing the righty specialist because of the all lefty builds. Yeah, there's a lot of all lefty starting pitcher builds, and so you get a lot of the versus righty specialists, which turns them around. And it's effective. It's super effective. You nominate Ken Daly for lefty specialist. Let's see if we can find him. Bourbon at number 16. AJ Minter, who is probably going to get his spot taken over by Garrett Crochet. I'm not having a ton of luck with Minter. I don't like him. Garces at 18. Worrell. There's Al Brasley. He gets used a ton. He's your 4th most used, 3rd most used this period. 3,700 innings pitched. Super easy to get. He's your Cardinals live reward, I believe. 20th in FIP right now, 4.02. But again, keep in mind he's losing a little bit because of his innings pitched. I think Brasley can be an effective pitcher. I have moved on from him. I think he's a little bit hit or miss for me, but I don't think he's bad. I've had Garcia in my rotation, not my rotation, in my bullpen a little bit. Mixed results on Garcia. Doc Ellis at number 22. Future legend Morales at 23. There's your Azel Lacy, who's your 3rd most used. Halleman at 25. Balazovic 26. Rogers 27. Klepfer 28. I don't have anything over here for him. No, nothing over here makes sense. Whatever. Tom Glavine at 29. Donaldson at 30. What is going on there? I think I know what's going on there. Actually. No? I don't know. Oh, I know what it is. Because they're over 4 innings. So I didn't fix this either. That'll get fixed for next week too. So they're over 4 innings all time, is what's going on here. So they have currently they're here and then they're over 4 innings there. So What about Timlin? Or your Asa Lacey is interesting lefty specialist if you're going righty starters. Agreed. Donaldson at 30, Hubble at 31, Gary Lucas at 32, Rutledge, Ethan Small at 34, Jabba at 35, struggling in gold. Chris Archer at 36, Barrios, Marquez, Diego Castillo, Charlie Morton, Paxton, and our worst pitcher, live Sonny Gray. Worst relief pitcher over the last 7 days or so is Gray. I think I'm going to go with Lacey. I think I'm going to give Asa Lacey a try. Let's get back up there. Where'd he go? Should be right around here. 106 stuff, 70 movement, 68 control. Yeah, I'm going to give Asa Lacey a try as our specialist versus lefties. And we'll see what we can do there. I don't know if I have him. I don't actually have that card yet, it looks like. I do have Moreno. I don't have Wickman, and I do have Smith now, so I need to find a Harang, a Moreno, and a Lacey overnight. We'll see how that goes. We ready for outfielders? Let's move on to the outfielders, shall we? You would use Brazeley over Lacey. Let's see. Where'd he go? 81, 76, 74. Yeah, just because Brazeley is a little bit less of a lefty specialist. I can see that. Also, a little bit more stamina. The ground ball pitcher. I'll consider it. I'm going to leave Lacey in for now. I'm not going to make changes today. I've only got like 3 or 4 tournaments on the guys that are in there right now, which is... who is it right now? Right now I'm running Betancourt, Garber, Jansen, Minter, Moreno, Percival, and Maddox. So really the big change would be Lacey for Minter here, I think, is the big one. And then Moreno would come out too, based off of what we're looking at here. Actually, I didn't put Percival in here, did I? I did. Okay, yeah. So it's really Moreno. No, Moreno's here too. So it's Minter coming out, and who else is coming out? Minter coming out, and Maddox coming out. No, Maddox is there. Percival, Betancourt, Garber coming out is the other guy that's coming out here, right? Yeah, so it's Garber and Minter coming out for Lacey and Wickman. So I'm going to give Garber and those 2 guys I just talked about a little bit more run before I make any changes. I'm going to give them at least today and then run the numbers and see if I can't get them performing well for me. And then I'll start looking at making the changes tomorrow to the team. Asa Lacey in real life is an absolute unit. On your guys you would not want to punch metric. Yeah. Why not Irv Young, or is he starting? I don't have Irv Young in there at the moment. And that's something I'll consider as well. I think we're going to roll with this for now. And then Young might be a guy I add to. So what I need to add these buttons over to the other side so that I can run the starters and add the starter buttons over here too. So we'll do that at some point too, so that I can plug in relief pitchers as starters and make it a little bit easier. Are we ready to hit some batters up? Let's start with left fielders. We're going to start with the outfielders today. Or was number 9 starting pitcher? Yeah, we're gonna roll with this. Again, I'm gonna run with what I did, the changes I made last night. So right now, where are we at? Right now, it's Duke, Ewing, Keuchel, Lynch, and Weaver. With Betancourt, Garber, Jansen, Minter, Moreno, Percival, and Maddox in there for my rotation, or for my pitchers right now. And so I'm gonna give them a little bit more run tonight and see how it goes. Left fielders, we had 10 qualifiers. Your average is 269 league batting average, 325 on base percentage, 404 slugging, 730 OPS, 323 weighted on base average, 2.22 WAR, 12 home runs, 9 steals, stolen base percentage around 70, 100 or so strikeouts, 43 walks, 76 run created per 600 are your averages. You're overlapping and I don't like it. Oh, you don't go any further that way. Why are you being annoying? Okay, whatever. Rusty Greer comes in at number 10. Let's see. People playing Irv Young in Diamond League still. Yeah, he's pretty good. Is there a place to watch previous episodes? So these are on the Out of the Park YouTube channel. And the I will do other stuff. Corbin Carroll was the last gold card to fall out of your regular league squad. Interesting. I don't know where he's going to be on this list. Again, I didn't go through the list. There were only 10 qualifying left fielders, though, so he's probably going to be on the list somewhere. Rusty Greer hits versus righties. You're going to want to probably hide him versus righties, not have him play versus lefties. There's some pretty big splits here. 847 plate appearances. He is 8th offensively, 10th defensively. I think there's probably better options out there. Greer's getting some use because is he the Texas Rangers team card? Is probably why he's getting used. You're still platooning the future legend in Diamond, and he's held his own for the most part. Madrigal is awesome. We'll get there when we get there. Stop spoiling my stream, guys. Come on. Number 9 is live Giancarlo Stanton. Grades out 7th defensively as a left fielder. Number 1 in home runs, 10th offensively, even while being number 1 in home runs. 10th in weighted on base average, 10th in OPS, 10th in batting average, sub 200. Just don't use him. He's useless. He's not good. Giancarlo Stanton should not be on your gold tournament team as of right now. Number 8 is one of the more used guys, a guy who was in my lineup until very recently. Manny Minoso is a useful card if you're using him in the right way. If you can hide him versus righties, he can be very effective in batting average and on-base percentage. Probably get a pretty good OPS and slugging out of him. He's not going to hit a ton of home runs. It'll be mostly singles and doubles. Isn't one of the better base runners in gold, but isn't terrible either. The 63% stolen base percentage is a little bit low for my liking. Does play multiple positions, can play left field, right field, or third base. So what he does allow you to do if you put him on your gold team is he allows you to do some creative platooning and stuff like that. There's not a ton of guys. So one of the things when we talk about bronze and iron last week, right, is you get a lot of those live cards that play like 86 different positions. 9, 6, 5 different positions, whatever. 86 would probably be too many for them to get good plate appearances at any one position. But there's not a ton of guys like that. There's not a ton of the guys like the David Fletcher who can play anywhere you want, or the even like the Louis Arias or the other guys that I'm just blanking on right now. So Minoso is a guy who gives you this third base, left field, right field thing. That's not something you get out of a lot of gold guys, which makes him useful if you use him right. He's not going to be a super great performer. I don't think he's going to be a terrible performer. I think he's going to struggle a bit versus lefties, which hurts in this format for sure. But I don't think he's a guy who can back up third base and left field and free you up to run a straight platoon somewhere else. Center field, first base, second base. As opposed to having to have that third baseman, left fielder that's being a utility guy somewhere else. So I think Minoso has his uses, but he's not going to be a great performer above some of these other guys on the list either. So he's at number 8. Number 7 is Bip Roberts. He's an 81 overall card. Again, a guy who hits better versus righties. So not terribly useful. Can run number 2 among left fielders and stolen base percentage. Greer is the Rangers live mission reward, not the team. Gotcha. Which is probably why he's getting used, because he's super easy to get at this point. Defensive value, he's 6th for Bip Roberts in center field, 4th in batting average, 6th in on-base percentage, 7th in weighted on-base average. If you can hide him versus righties, great. I think left field is a little bit hard to platoon here. I don't think Roberts is worth a straight platoon spot. Backup left field, center field, maybe. Backup left field, second baseman. He's another guy kind of similar to that Manny Minoso, who can be useful because of the weird positions that he can play. You like him as a backup with Heavy Johnson? I can see that. I bet Nameless Poet likes him as a backup as well, if I had to guess. You platoon him with Reigns, I can see that happening too. I think if you can hide him in a straight platoon and left, he's going to have a pretty decent on-base percentage. The numbers are down a little bit this week. All time, you're seeing a 338 on-base percentage, which is 6th out of 27 qualifiers all time. That seems high. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I have my cutoffs properly set. It is. Okay. So 600 was the plate appearance cutoff. We only had 10 here this week, but all time we have like 27, which is a lot. Batting average, on-base percentage, both dropped just a little bit this week for Roberts over a 2,000 plate appearance sample size. So I think you can actually expect to see something a little bit higher than this if you're platooning him. The WAR at 1.57, right at number 7. So again, not a ton of home runs. So if you're looking for power out of your left fielder, then you're not going to get it from Bip Roberts, but he can play pretty good defense in left field, and he's going to get on base for you. He's an interesting option as a platoon in left field. Number 5 or 6 is Clyde Engel with only 981 plate appearances, so it's a pretty small sample size on him. He's grading out 5th defensively and 9th offensively, so I think he's the kind of guy that we can probably just glance over pretty quickly. 9th in almost every rate stat out of 10. All time, he's 15th, 12th, 16th, so not terrible numbers all time. Kind of top half with okay defense, but again, the arm, the error is a little bit concerning. He's getting a lot of bonus points for his range and his left field ratings, which are higher than most of the other guys on the list. Does have slight splits versus lefties, but I don't love this card. I don't love it. I think there are better options in left field. He does go across the board with good contact, good gap, good power, good eye, good avoid Ks. Everything's kind of good. But all that leads to his mediocre numbers overall. Nothing really stands out as terribly useful for Clyde Engel. You're interested to see if there's any good versus righties, left fielders with good power in gold. We'll see. Number 5 is Moise Alou, your 3rd most used player right now. He actually dropped off of the proven winner list. Moise Alou has the most all-time points as far as how many tournaments he's been in. So he's number 1 there. Unfortunately, his percentage is pretty low for Moise Alou, which makes sense because he's on everybody's team. So it stands to reason that he's going to lose a lot, right? So it's one of those things where he skews it. Very good. He hits okay versus lefties. So grading out number 1 offensively still, number 9 defensively in left field. You're going to see he's got a lot of plate appearances as a right fielder as well, and a lot of plate appearances as a designated hitter as well. So versus lefties, you've got 103, 79, 90, 48, 95. It's a usable card, guys. It's definitely a usable card. I like him as a designated hitter. At this point, I like him better as a DH than as a left fielder. And if you can platoon him as a designated hitter, even better. He is a really, really good designated hitter versus lefties. You'll notice that I have not re-added designated hitter to the list just yet. Soon. Hopefully next week that'll be re-added. But Alou comes in at number 5. He's that good offensively that he moves all the way up to number 5. I don't think he's actually getting played in the field all that much. Number 4 is your most used left fielder, Corbin Carroll. He can play against lefties and righties. I like this card a lot. He plays versus lefties and righties, grading out 6th offensively, grading out 3rd defensively. So he's pretty good at both of those. He can run a little bit. Again, the stolen base percentage at 62 is a little bit low for my liking, but he's not gonna strike out a ton. He's gonna walk enough to be effective. He's a good base runner with a good on base percentage. Again, his numbers have come down just a little bit over the last week. You're seeing a 30-point drop in OPS, down from 744 to 716. 331 weighted on base average down to a 319. So I think pitching is kind of the name of the game right now. Dallas Keuchel got added last week, so I don't think we're super surprised that pitching has taken over a little bit. I don't think there were too many really solid gold hitters added in the last couple weeks, and so that Keuchel card is really, really good. Corbin Carroll at number 4. Number 3 is Heavy Johnson, proven winner alert. This is one of my favorite cards in gold, and I actually took him out of my lineup, and I shouldn't have. He's a 26% points percentage for Heavy Johnson. He's got a little bit of a split versus righties, but he can hit versus lefties too. He plays catcher, first base, shortstop, left field, center field, right field. This is not the only list we're going to see Heavy Johnson on today, guys. Number 2 in weighted on base average, grading out number 2 offensively in left field and number 4 defensively. I was running him as my starting left fielder. I don't know who I'm running out there right now, if I'm being totally honest. We'll look at my team here at the end. He's probably going to end up back on the team. I'm just trying some things out right now. I do like this card a lot. He's such a useful card in that he allows you to do basically whatever you want with your team. Oh, the Mookie is a good hitter. We'll see Mookie too. Yeah, back back up ball and let him play. I don't know that I want him backing everybody up because he's going to be very tired. I try to keep my platoon or my utility guys to 2 positions. I do, when he's in the lineup, I have him starting in left field because he's very good versus righties in left field. So I have him starting in left field versus righties and then backing up whatever. I think I have him backing up like left field and shortstop versus lefties because I move Madrigal to starting at second base versus lefties. He just the nice thing about Heavy is that he allows you to be so creative with your lineups that it's a really, really super useful card. I love it. You run him in right field, Carroll in left field. I think that's useful too as well. Number 2 is Tim Raines, who is a very good batter versus lefties. Grades out 3rd offensively, 2nd defensively. Not terrible versus righties, but if you can platoon him, I think you're going to get a lot more use out of him because his on-base percentage is going to be much higher versus lefties. You're going to get a few more doubles versus righties, but his everything else is going to be so much better versus lefties that if you can platoon him, I recommend it. If you can't platoon him, he's usable. He's definitely useful versus righties. He's your number 2 left fielder, which now has me concerned about who's number 1 because we've seen all of the guys that are up here at the top of the list. Number 1 left fielder is future legend Christian Robinson. 768 plate appearances as a left fielder. Also, 1,567 plate appearances overall. Oh, he's here because of defense. He's your number 1 defensive left fielder. So I don't think he's necessarily viable as a starting. Congratulations on pulling your Trout. 2.91 WAR for Christian Robinson per 600, but keep in mind he plays some center field as well, so that WAR number is getting inflated just a little bit from center field play. Offensively, I don't think he stacks up that well against other left fielders, but 4th offensively with a 320 weighted on base average and a 7 steals. Doesn't look terrible. Walks a lot. The on-base percentage, even with the walks though, the on-base percentage is pretty low. His batting average is going to be a little bit low. 75 speed, 63 steals, going to lead to a low stolen base percentage, which is concerning to me. I don't love it as number 1. Very good defensively in left field. So if you're looking for defense in left field and you can platoon him versus lefties, it's not a huge split, but I don't know. What do you guys think of Christian Robinson? I think I prefer him as a center fielder if you're going to play him. I think that his offense plays down just a little bit in left field, and I think there's better options. I'm running Raines right now, and I think I'm going to plug Raines back in as my left fielder versus lefties and my bench 4 versus righties. And versus righties, let's go with... I don't know. Who is that? Alu's going to be our DH. I'm just going to plug... Well, no, we'll figure it out later. Heavy, you think he's a must-play? Who's that? Robinson needs to be more aggressive. Maybe. With all the lefty starting rotations, a guy who hits lefties is not surprising. I agree. Blibbard thinks Christian Robinson's a must-play, huh? You think he's underrated? Versus lefties. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some power there versus lefties. Interesting. I don't know that I go towards must-play. I definitely see him being usable. I want more data on him. You know what? We're just going to do it. We're going to plug him in versus lefties. We're just going to make him our left fielder. Let's do that. We're going to try to get a Christian Robinson and get him on this team. I don't know about must-play. I may be underrated, but I don't know about must-play. You want one player for the mission against both sides, you go with Carroll. I like Carroll as well. I think I'm going to stick with what I like for now. Let's go Raines. And then Raines is going to be our bench 4 versus righties. And then I'm going to go with Heavy Johnson in left field versus righties. And then we're going to leave bench 4 empty because Heavy's going to play somewhere else. Actually, we'll call Heavy our bench 4 versus lefties and just go with that. Let's see how that works out. Ready? Center fielders. Center fielders. Number 10 is Willard Brown. A card that I really want to love. number 2 offensively as far as center field, 14th out of 15 defensively as a center fielder. Brown is similar to Heavy in that he plays multiple positions that don't necessarily match up the way you would expect them to. Shortstop, center field, right field. Doesn't have quite as many, so you can't be as creative with him. And I think Heavy is just a little bit more effective as a player. Brown has a 274 batting average, which is pretty good. A 442 slugging, which is number 1 among qualified left fielders. Pat, you're killing me. Number 2 in OPS, number 2 in weighted on base average. He's grading out second offensively among center fielders. Just isn't great defensively. I think if you're going to play Brown, he's going to have to be as a right fielder or a utility guy. I think he's going to hit well versus lefties or righties. He can play every day as a right fielder. And we'll see what we think about him in right field as opposed to center field. Loses a lot of points because his center field defense is bad. Number 9 is Jim Pearsall, a guy who splits kind of heavy towards versus righties and is grading out number 6 defensively in center field, number 13 offensively, over 700 plate appearances. Would you go 11 through 15 very quickly, please? Yeah, sure. Well, there were only 10 qualifying left fielders, so there was nobody else in left field. That was it. Only 10 guys got 600 plate appearances while listed as a left fielder. I will do the 10 through 15 in center field when we're done with it. Number 8 is Jordan Adams, future legend, 13th defensively, but grading out number 1 offensively in 918 plate appearances, number 1 in OPS, number 1 in weighted on base average, 12 steals with a 58% stolen base percentage. I don't love this stolen base profile. Very high speed and a huge gap between his speed and his steal ability. I do not like that speed profile. You gave up on Brown when they released Mookie. We'll talk about that later. But Jordan Adams, not great defensively in center field. I don't know how. It's got to be a small sample size here. You'll get doubles. You'll get home runs. He'll strike out a bunch, but walk a bunch. Good on base percentage with doubles to go along with it. I don't think it's unusable. I think I like it better as... It's weird because we didn't see it as a left fielder. And so I think that his offense probably plays down a little bit in left field. Go over here real quick. 40 would be somewhere around probably 3rd or 4th in left field. Weird. I don't know what else to say about this card. It's an interesting card. I really hate this speed profile. I really don't like it at all. I think he'll hit versus lefties. I think you're going to get some power out of him, maybe more than some of the other center fielders. I think that he's going to hurt you defensively. I don't hate him as a left fielder. His numbers are kind of right in line with his all-time stuff. The batting average is a little bit low, but the on-base percentage is decent. Weighted on base average is okay. I don't think he's number 1 offensively. As you can see, all-time he grades out 12th offensively, so I think we're just going to move on. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Jordan Adams. He confuses me. Christian Robinson's grading out 3rd offensively and 11th defensively in center field. But again, even in gold, there's not too many really awesome defensive center fielders. I think Robinson is a solid combination of offense and defense in center field who is pretty obviously usable there. He did not show up on this list. You can play him in center field, left field, right field, maybe as a backup utility guy. I can see him being a good performer. I can see him being solid. The batting average plays down a little bit in center field, whereas it played up a little bit in left field. But you got some power here and some second-tier defense in center field for Christian Robinson at number 7. Number 6 is future legend Lodi Taveras, grading out 6th offensively, 7th defensively. He's your 3rd most used. This is a card I haven't looked at too much so far in the past. Not very playable in left field or right field. You know, I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's unplayable in left field or in right field. I know the position ratings are a little bit low, but the range, arm, and error might play up just a little bit. He is a switch hitter, but he's got pretty big splits versus lefties, which is helpful in the format. 256 average, 323 on base percentage, a weighted on base average of 313. Not a ton of power. Speed and steals 86, 86. You can see the stolen base percentage at 63%. People are probably having him be just a little bit too aggressive with that 63% stolen base percentage, but I don't think he's an elite base stealer, not quite to the level of being elite, but lack of training, he will be awful in the corners. Playing him anywhere other than center field is a waste. Interesting. Switch hitter is nice. His live card is a 49. Yeah, his live card isn't great. So I think he's playable defensively and offensively in center field. I don't think it's an unplayable card. I don't think there's too many must-have offensive players here. But I think Tavares is solid. And I think if you're going to see these top two guys in this list both have pretty severe splits when we get to them. And I think if you're looking for a center fielder who can play pretty good defense and hit versus both lefties and righties, if you can't platoon center field, Tavares is a guy who can definitely do that. Obviously will be a little bit better versus lefties than versus righties. Number 5 is Clyde Milan, grading out number 4 offensively, number 9 defensively. I have a feeling that a lot of this is he's being played as a platoon guy, and I think there may be better options out there for a platoon versus right-handed hitters in versus right-handed pitching in center field. I like Milan. I think he's a solid card. I don't think he's a unusable card. He provides solid on base percentage with the best stolen bases probably in the entire format. He's probably the best base stealer in the entire format. He competes in diamond leagues as well. I can see that. The versus righties, if you can hide him versus righties, I think he's definitely usable. The steals are awesome. The stolen base percentage, to have 77 steals with an 84% stolen base percentage is really, really good. Huge WAR number. Again, it's driven a bit by steals. He's that second tier defensively of center fielders too. So not unusable in center field, but not a must-have defensive center fielder. But I think Milan could be playable versus right-handers. Can hit a little bit versus lefties, but I think you probably want to platoon him. Number 4 is Otis Nixon. Proven winner alerts. Otis Nixon. Number 2 defensively in center field. Number 9 offensively. I like this card a lot. Again, the split here, I don't love it. I actually toned him down on the base stealing. I'm running him as my center fielder versus lefties right now. And so 79 contact with 90 avoid Ks, you're going to have a pretty decent batting average there. The eye's a little bit lower versus lefties and versus righties. You might actually get a little bit better on base percentage versus righties than versus lefties due to the eye. But he's a solid hitter versus lefties and with pretty good defense to go along with it. He's right up there among the best defensive center fielders in gold format right now. Not going to hit you any home runs, but you can see he's number 2 in steals. The stolen base percentage a little bit lower. He's obviously not the base stealer that Clyde Milan is for Otis Nixon, but a little bit better defensively, and I think a little bit more well-rounded offensively as well. But they'd make a good platoon combination, Milan and Otis Nixon. You can move his sliders based on the opposing catchers. Pretty nice. Yeah, if you're actively managing, it can help for sure. Next up is number 3, a card I haven't seen at all yet. Elliot Maddox comes in at number 3. He's your 4th best defensive center fielder. Number 7 offensively. Similar profile to Nixon's, but a little bit better eye, avoid Ks, and contacts versus lefties. This is an interesting card. Obviously, you're losing stolen bases with him. He's not going to be a great base runner by any stretch of the imagination. Defensively, kind of like him better as a right fielder than as a center fielder. The range is a little bit lower. Let's check Nixon out real quick. 87, not that much lower. I think he's playable defensively as a center fielder for sure. Splits versus lefties, but I don't think that's... this is an interesting looking card for me. You played him a bit, but quit him for Hill. Defensive collection release, 8,500 right now. Interesting. I don't hate the looks of this card. Redundant with Nixon, unfortunately. Maybe a good platoon with Milan or Pete Hill. We'll check Pete Hill out here in a second. I'm sure he's at number 2 or number 1. All time, you see him grade out 16th offensively, but right in line with his current value too. So this is Interesting card to me. Good on base percentage. Out of 30 all-time qualifiers, he's 4th in on base percentage. So there's a lot of really small sample size stuff in this all-time number 2. So keep that in mind. Number 2 is Devin White. Interesting. Number 2 in WAR at 4.14. 5th offensively, 5th defensively for Devin White. 261 average, 9th on base percentage, 3rd in steals, 4th in stolen base percentage. A little bit of power. Hits a little bit versus lefties. I think I like Nixon just a little bit better. He does switch hit, but pretty heavy splits versus lefties. You're going to want to platoon him a little bit. I think I lean towards Maddox or Nixon still versus lefties. Does give you a little bit of power that those guys don't. Giving you a little bit of WAR too. And so 4.14 WAR. Interesting. Good speed with steal. Definitely a third tier base stealer, but a good base runner. Gives you power. Not unusable. I don't hate Devin White. I think I lean Nixon or Maddox right now as my center fielder versus lefties, though. And number 1, Pete Hill comes in at number 1, grading out 3rd defensively, grading out 8th offensively, 3rd in WAR at 3.67. A proven winner. Pete Hill is expensive. I don't know how much he goes for now. I paid a lot for him 3 or 4 weeks ago. Good defensive center fielder. He's really useful because you can play him versus righties and he can back up multiple positions when he's not playing. I use him as my backup center fielder and right fielder when he's not playing. Similar to Nixon has a similar usefulness, as does Maddox has a similar usefulness there, where he can back up multiple positions on the days he's not playing. They're not straight platoon guys. Pete Hill has a 269 average, 327 on base percentage, both 4th. Can run the bases really well. He goes for 24,000 right now. Yeah, I bought him for about that, so he's hanging steady there. Just a super, super useful card. Again, you're going to want to platoon him in center field versus righties. But I really love these 4 cards here. I really like all of them. The Hill, the Maddox, I really like the looks of. And actually, I think I'm leaning him over Nixon right now just because of the fact that he plays right field. Or is Nixon? I like Nixon, great base runner, and then Milan. So I think Milan, because Milan kind of has to be platoon and doesn't have a secondary position, I think he loses a little bit of his value there. And so for center fielders, I'm going to plug Hill in as my center fielder versus righties, and he'll go in at a bench position somewhere. I'm not really sure where yet. I'm gonna stick with Nixon for now. I think I'm gonna stick with Otis Nixon for now, just because a little bit better defensively than Maddox. And this, I like the proven winner stuff. I do like it. I do like this Maddox though. So one of the things that I ran into on my team was that I was having trouble filling the puzzle pieces because of the fact that because of Nixon being center field and left field, I was really looking for a right fielder. I'm going to plug you know what? Let's do it. Let's just plug Maddox in, and I'll see later on today if I can track. And then we'll go through 11 and through 15 really fast. 11 is Willie Davis versus righties. If you can hide him, he looks okay. 12 defensively, 10th offensively. Special edition Willie Davis from the Dodgers. 12 is George Springer, 2021 live George Springer. 13 is live Luis Robert. 14 is live Harrison Bader. Number 1 defensively in center field. Continues to be really bad offensively, to the point of being unusable in my opinion. I know his defense is really good in center field. I just think he's completely unusable offensively. I don't love this card at all. And number 15 is Tommy Leach. Buxton's a diamond now, Mr. World. So expensive card for such a lefty heavy format. That's fair. But Hill he's a proven winner. And I don't think he's unusable versus righties. Let's go back to Hill, because that's who I believe Bluebird Silver is talking about. Also, this is my first time seeing you today. Welcome to the stream. Or, it's not my first time seeing you, but I haven't welcomed you to the stream. I don't think he's necessarily unusable versus lefties, and the fact that he can play utility at a whole bunch of different positions. I really enjoy these cards. That, while yes, he probably needs to be platooned, he can serve as another player somewhere. He is expensive. I agree. But I think he's useful. Buy him for the Charleston mission. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's why he's so expensive. So let's move on to right fielders. At this point, we had, looks like 12 right field qualifiers. Harry Heilman comes in at number 10. He comes in at number 10 because he's bad defensively. He is a very, very good offensive card, especially in this format versus lefties. 283 average, 340 on base percentage, number 1 weighted on base average, does not run. So keep that in mind. Hits some home runs though, 15 home runs per 600. He is a very good offensive card. Can play defense in right field if you're willing to not play defense in right field. I like him as a designated hitter versus lefties. If you can platoon at designated hitter versus lefties. The problem is he's pretty redundant with Alu, both of whom, I didn't plug Alu in there. Both him and Alu split versus lefties pretty heavily. So it's up to you. We're going to see where Alu falls in this list. I actually think Alu is a slightly better designated hitter versus lefties when we get there. We'll check him when we get there. Most of the Build-A-Legends feel like DHs. Is he better than Alu? We'll check Alu when we get there. Number 9 is Bobby Abreu, who splits a little bit versus righties. Not something we see too much. Special edition Bobby Abreu. Grading out second offensively among right fielders. Grading out bad defensively. Another kind of designated hitter. I don't think he provides quite enough power to be a designated hitter. I think I'd like to get a little bit more power out of my DH spot, but there's not a ton of power here in gold anyway, so maybe you can live with a 58 versus righties. 264 average, 335 on base percentage, 334 weighted on base average, with the ability to run a little bit as well for Bobby Abreu. He grades out at number 9. Number 8 is Ty Cobb, who smashes the ball versus righties. Very, very good on base percentage, grading out number 1 offensively. This is your special edition A's live card, Ty Cobb. Just crushes righties. Again, a guy, he can back up right field, and I mean, it's there. If you want him backing up left field, I like him as a right-handed designated hitter, or as a designated hitter versus righties. Sorry. And then backup designated hitter, right fielder versus lefties as well. So I think he's useful. I think he's a very good offensive card if you can platoon him at designated hitter. But when you start talking about platoons, that's where guys like Nixon and those outfielders who obviously have platoon splits but can utility other players, they allow you to platoon at designated hitter and get the best hitter possible at designated hitter. And that's why I find the guys like Pete Hill and like Otis Nixon and like Heavy Johnson and Willard Brown to be so useful, even though they kind of need to be platooned at their position. They're not straight platoons, because it allows you to go, I'm going to put Ty Cobb in there as my designated hitter versus righties. This is a very old Cobb. Yeah, agree. The bunt is still pretty good, though. The 83 bunt for a hit still pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and plug him in as my designated hitter versus righties for now. Number 7 is Moise Alou, and I think he's definitely better versus lefties than Heilman. I think what you get from Heilman, though, is that Heilman is a little bit better versus righties, but I think overall Alou is a better designated hitter versus lefties. So let's go back to Heilman so we can compare the two a little bit. 86 contact, 79 gap, 74 avoid Ks versus righties for Heilman versus 88, 78, 59. Pretty similar versus righties, actually, and Alou is... So I think at this point, I'm leaning towards Alou as a slightly better option than Harry Heilman. Also a little bit easier to get than Heilman as well. A platoon of Alou and Cobb at designated hitter, I don't think you can necessarily go wrong. You got your shortstop before I got there. Keuchel, your budget blew out. Sorry. And so there we go. Alou at number 7 in right field. 4th offensively, I think he actually plays up a little bit offensively. He loses some value because he doesn't run, which we're going to move him to designated hitter anyway. So come on, Excel. This is like 3 times a day. You're supposed to be running. Great. I need to get a new computer. Number 7 is Alou. Number 6 is John Wilson. Grading out 4th defensively, 10th offensively, 1,300 plate appearances for John Wilson. Was he part of the defensive drop a couple weeks ago? Splits pretty heavy versus righties. So if you're looking to platoon right field, maybe he could hit versus righties. Average on base percentage, everything's a little bit low, but he is a good defender in right field and can run a little bit too. Not a ton, not an elite base runner, but a little bit of a base runner. He comes in at number 6. I don't like him offensively in right field. Number 5. Here's Corbin Carroll. We do like Corbin Carroll. Can play multiple positions. Grades out number 5. Grading out 9th offensively in right field. Grading out 6th defensively. Just a really good all-around card that can do just about anything you want it to in the outfield. He can play left field, center field, right field. He can hit versus lefties and versus righties. I like him as a straight-up utility card as opposed to like a platoon/utility player. But you can platoon him versus righties and then have him back up left field, center field, or right field. It's just a super useful future legend card. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's a must-have necessarily, but I think it's a really useful card that allows you to do a lot of cool things with your lineup. Thanks, Nameless Poet. Thanks for dropping by. Enjoy the rest of your day. Number 4 is Willard Brown. Climbs up a little bit higher on this list than he did on the left field just because the defense plays up a little bit here, or center field, sorry. The defense plays up a little bit in right field, and the offense is what it is with Willard Brown. He can play versus lefties and versus righties. He can play back up multiple positions. Another really interesting card. Very good base runner is Willard Brown. And so he's another one of those cards that's super useful. Very expensive because he's part of the Negro League collection set. So I think he's still running for 20 plus on the auction house right now. Again, not really a must-have, I don't think, but a very useful card to plug into your lineup. Solid slugging percentage at 442, lots of doubles, good batting average at 274, and again, plays right field, center field, shortstop. Really useful card. And if you have it, I see no reason not to play it. Number 3 is Heavy Johnson. This is the 3rd position we've seen him in now. I just can't say enough good things about this card. He allows you to really do whatever you want with the rest of your team. He allows you to plug holes, and he allows you to get really creative with your team, depending on how you want to do it. Do you want him to be your catcher versus right-handed pitching? Probably not. I think there's better options out there as far as getting defense out of your catcher, but I don't think he's unusable as a catcher. We get to see him multiple times. I don't want to talk about him too much every time, but among right fielders, he grades out 5th offensively and 7th defensively. And so I think you can definitely start him there. And I think that he can play a little bit versus lefties. We'll see. We'll see what he looks like. But I think there's slightly better option once we get there. Number 2. I don't know who this is. Red Murray. Very, very good base stealer. Grades out 7th offensively and 5th defensively in right field. Plays a little bit of left field. Doesn't have big splits. 269 average, 307 on base percentage, or 7th and 8th, 9th and weighted on base average. I don't love it. He gets all of his offensive value from base running, 56 steals, 86 stolen base percentage, number 1 in both of those. Those are very, very good base stealing numbers, but the on base percentage is just a little bit low for me to really want that to be there. I don't think he's bad. I think there's better options. I think if his contact was just a little bit higher, this would be a really fantastic card. Interesting looking card for a cap format, perhaps, with an 80 overall rating. Interesting looking Horrors card. A guy you can back up right field and left field and be a pinch runner. There's not a lot of speed in Sporers, though. There's not a lot of base stealing, so I think that kind of limits his value over there, and it's not quite enough power to take advantage of that. Definitely an interesting looking card for a cap format, though, for like a 1625 cap. little bit late for that, but I don't know that I love him in open because your number one right fielder is Mookie Betts. Proven winner, Mookie Betts. Number one defensively, number 6 offensively in right field. 272 average, 340 on base percentage, splits heavy versus lefties. Can you platoon Heavy Johnson with him in right field? Sure you can. Can you platoon other guys with him in right field? Yeah, probably. Do you have to? Probably not. I think he plays versus righties. You're definitely going to get more versus lefties, though. I really like a Mookie Heavy platoon in right field. This card is awesome. This card is just killing it. 4.08 WAR in right field. And on his days off, guess what, folks? He's not a straight platoon. On his days off, he can back up center field too. I love this card. This card is awesome. I bought it. I paid way too much for it. He's running in my lineup now. He is my right fielder versus lefties. I think I like Heavy Johnson versus righties. They're such a good complement to each other. We're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll figure the bench situation out later. But they're such an awesome complement to each other that they're just super useful. There's so many cards in this set that I love because of their ability to puzzle piece, and you got to be careful because you're going to want to platoon at DH because there's not, if you're going to get the most out of it. But they're just awesome cards between Mookie. Your outfield mix is Carroll, Carey, Betts, Robinson, and Johnson. I like it. I think that's a solid outfield mix. Right now, I can pull up my team. Oh, we're still going in this tournament. Lots of packs. Still going in tournament 1290. That looks like tournament rewards, guys. I don't know what my outfield is off the top of my head right now. I probably could have just brought it up over here. It is... Where are we at? Here. So we're running Rains, Hill, Mookie. Heavy's actually out right now. So it's Rains, Nixon, Mookie, and Hill. With Minnie Minoso's got to go. Here's Heavy. What do we got Heavy doing? I've got Heavy playing first base against righties. We're going to move him to right field versus righties, I think, and see if we can't do something better. And the reason is I don't have my first baseman. We'll get there. That's my outfield right now. Mookie Betts at number 1 in right field. Going backwards, 11 and 12 were Gallo and Oscar Gamble, who looks like an interesting righty platoon. Card I haven't seen too much of. Doesn't look great. Rate stats look terrible. A little bit of home run power. You guys want to do infielders first or just go to catcher? Do I have any data on Vlad Guerrero? Let's see. Control F. Vlad. Live. Guerrero Jr. Special edition Vlad Guerrero. I have 1,100 total plate appearances at a 288 batting average, which is solid. 326 on base percentage, 476 slugging, 800 plus OPS, 348 weighted on base average, 20 plus home runs. Solid looking offensive card. Didn't have enough plate appearances to qualify. Strikeouts look good. Looks like a designated hitter type. Oh, thank you. Solid looking designated hitter. Let's take a look at him. See if we can't look at this card. Contact gap, home run power, splits versus heavy splits versus lefties. This is a good looking card. Good looking designated hitter versus... I have a feeling if I do a designated hitter list, he pops up pretty darn close to Alu, if I'm being totally honest, for Guerrero. You'd vote catcher first? All right, let's do it. Let's do catcher first. Catcher. My wife just brought me food. I'm going to eat a little bit. I'm going to turn the camera off for just a moment while I shove my face full of food. And off. Catchers. That's very hot. We had 13 qualifying catchers. Yasmani Grandal came in at number 10. Very good eye. On-base percentage at 280. Still very low. 180 batting average. Fourth in catcher ability. Guys, He's not that good. I'm going to let that cool off for a minute. I'm bringing the camera back up. My wife's trying to burn my tongue off, apparently. Grand Dog comes in at number 10. I wouldn't use him. Don't love. He gets a do not love designation. Sal Perez comes in at number 9. He's the 5th best defensive catcher. I think a lot of people have been using him as a backup defensive catcher. He remained a 9. Plays a little bit versus lefties. Does have some power versus lefties. He is number 1 among catchers with a 21 home runs per 600, which is more than a lot of catchers, and plays pretty good defense. Unfortunately, everything else is pretty bad. 227 batting average, 246 on base percentage. I don't love those numbers all that much. He is usable. He is cheap, but I think there are better options out there. Number 8 is Bob O'Farrell. Splits versus lefties. 8th defensively, 8th offensively for Bob O'Farrell. 221 average is gross. 295 on base percentage is middle of the pack among catchers. Slugging percentage, OPS are all pretty low. 7th in weighted on base average, though. 1.58 WAR per 600. We're going to do catchers, and I'm going to take a quick break after this. Like a 2-3 minute break after catchers. But Bob O'Farrell, splits versus lefties. Usable, perhaps. I don't love him. Next up, number 7 is Paul LaDuca. I mean, if you want, you can use him as a designated hitter. Defensively, he's 12th and not very good defensively. Does play first base, so maybe backup catcher / first baseman if that's what you're going for. He will hit versus lefties. He grades out 4th offensively among catchers. Number 2 in slugging percentage. Number 2 in home runs behind Sal Perez with a worse offense, or defense, I should say, than Sal Perez. But his average and on-base percentage are not bad. It's a good card. I think this is a card that can be useful versus lefties. It performs well offensively. He can perform versus righties as well. The splits are there, but I think he's usable offensively versus righties. He's just not a great defensive catcher, which is a position I think a lot of us really like to get some defense out of, but I don't think he's unusable. I like him a little bit better as maybe a designated hitter or as a backup catcher for LaDuca. Number 6 is future legend Keibert Ruiz. Hits versus righties, 9th defensively, 5th offensively, 3,500 plate appearances, right behind LaDuca at number 3. 5th in batting average, 7th in on-base percentage, 3rd in slugging. So people are using these lower-rated defensive catchers a little bit here in gold, and they perform okay. Offensively, Ruiz is 5th. Defensively, let's see, where are we at in catcher area of 3.97. Runners thrown out percentage at 6th at 31.98, which is a pretty solid number, if we're being totally honest. Do you think he's the man as the backup? He's consistent. I can see that. I can see him starting versus righties. Excel is killing me today. I might have to restart the program here in a minute. Catcher ability of 71 is not bad. Catcher arm of 62, not bad. I think he's definitely usable as a backup catcher. Keibert Ruiz, 687 OPS, 300 weighted on base average, and 4th in home runs. Tell him not to steal bases. Red light. Red light, Keibert. Number 5 is proven winner, Buddy Rosar. And you're going, what? Seriously. He's grading out 9th offensively. He's grading out 2nd defensively. He's like 4th on the proven winner list, guys. 29.63% of his points. Heavy splits versus lefties. Very heavy splits versus lefties. Pretty good defensively. 84 arm, 86 catcher ability, 101 catcher rating. Catcher area of 3.68 is 4th. I think that you can call him probably 3rd or maybe even 2nd, honestly, because you're going to have, well, maybe not. We'll see what the other guys look like on the list. I don't know who number 1 and number 2 are on the catcher ERA list. It does not factor into any of my calculations, though. So 1.96 WAR, very good defensive catcher. Rosar's getting quite a bit of use. A lot of this might be me, actually. I am running him as my catcher versus left-handed pitching right now. I don't think he's the guy that I want. I don't think he's the guy that I think I've been trying to upgrade, and I just haven't been able to. Number 4 is Biz Mackey. Grading out 7th offensively, 3rd defensively. Biz Mackey is my catcher versus righties right now, I think. I don't know what I have going on. Catcher, yeah. So I'm running Rosar. Has Bassler? No, I haven't covered Bassler yet. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I use Mackey. Mackey's interesting as a backup catcher. 3rd defensively. 3rd in catcher ERA. I think it's probably a little bit higher, but I doubt it. I don't think anybody's playing him as a shortstop. 31% runners thrown out percentage and a .97 stolen bases against per game. Can run a little bit. He is a proven winner as well. But again, very expensive card, so it stands to reason that he's going to be on teams that spend some money too. So keep that in mind. I like Mackey. I think he's a solid versus righties guy. He's on my team right now, but again, it's mostly because I just don't have my catchers in place yet. Number 3 is Phil Massey. Grading out 2nd offensively, 11th defensively, 81 contact, 82 avoid Ks versus lefties tells me he's going to have a pretty good batting average. 345 on base percentage, 283 batting average. Right in line with his all-time numbers, a little bit higher on base percentage. Mid-teens in home runs. Very solid looking offensive catcher versus lefties. Almost borderline versus righties. You definitely want to platoon him, and he's definitely a little bit lower on the scales defensively. 4.42 catcher ERA, 20.28 runners thrown out percentage for Massey. I don't love it. I don't know. I don't love him as a catcher. Don't love it. Number 2. Oh, look at that. Heavy Johnson with his tidy 0.31 catcher earned run average. We can ignore that. Versus righties, he's good catching ability. He's top 10 out of our 13 catchers. Offensively, number 1 among catchers. Good slugging percentage, good OPS. I think there are way better uses for Heavy Johnson than as a catcher, though. He just barely gets over the qualifying mark. That's why he's here. Usable, kind of usable as a catcher. I don't know. Offensively, he's fantastic, but defensively, suboptimal as a catcher. Number 1, Johnny Bassler. Good luck finding him on Auction House. 361 catcher earn run average has him number 2, only to Heavy Johnson. 31.12 runners thrown out percentage is a little bit lower, but I think that probably evens out over time. Stolen bases against per game at 0.95. 284 batting average, 357 on base percentage are just stupid numbers. A Johnny Bassler, Buddy Rosar platoon is my goal. I don't think Bassler is a must-have. I think you can make it work with other guys. I have not seen one on auction in a week. I've been trying to find one. My goal is a Johnny Bassler versus righties and Buddy Rosar versus lefties platoon is what I want out of my team eventually. Those are your catchers. Let's go backwards and check out numbers 11, 12, and 13. 11 is... Whoops, I pressed the wrong button. 11 is Jonathan Lucroy, not playable defensively at catcher. Number 12 is Austin Hedges, not playable offensively at catcher. And number 13 is Carson Kelly, not playable at catcher. So those are your 11, 12, and 13s. Those were your top 10. Bassel looks great. You just put Massey in, but you lean on ability more than arm. That's fair too. I'm going to take a quick break, guys. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. We'll do the infielders, and then we'll wrap up the rest of the day. Holy smokes, it's already 1:15. You guys keep me busy. We'll be back in a minute. Let's fix the camera. Remove the desk. There we go. That's a little bit better. Hair is not good today. Bassler went up at 50K. Don't pay 50K for him, guys. Let that come down. Let those guys stew over there not being able to sell him for that much. Let's do first baseman. I don't think Bassler's worth 50K. You don't absolutely have to have him to win in gold. There are not any cards here that you absolutely have to win. So let them sit there. I wouldn't pay that much for a snapshot card. Unless it was for a really awesome collection. Like I'm okay with paying the 20s for the Negro League cards or whatever. Like I said, I way overpaid for Mookie. But I really wanted him on the team. So first baseman, we had 16 qualifiers. And so Jose Abreu came in at number 10. He's grading out second defensively, which is kind of hilarious to me. 75 height, 52 error, 81 first base rating. Lower range, lowish arm, which you can live with. But Abreu hits 19 home runs per 600, 267 average, 301 on base percentage, grading out 13th offensively. I think we can all agree that I want a little bit more out of my first baseman. Number 9 is a card that I'm trying to track down for the left-hand side of my platoon, or the versus lefty side of my platoon. Talking is very difficult for me sometimes. We saw him last week for 10K, not knowing who he was. Sorry. I want Cecil Fielder to play. I want to give him a shot against left-handed pitching. I don't love the avoid K, so the strikeouts are a real thing for him. The walks are good. The on-base percentage at 325, slugging 471, 797 OPS, 349 weighted on-base average. He's actually dropped a little bit over the last day or so. 879 plate appearances. There's not a ton of them out there. I think this is another tournament reward card. 135 power versus lefties is kind of silly. 32 home runs per 600, I believe, is the highest in the format. It's the highest I've seen among qualifying players. So a lot of home runs, a lot of power. Left-hand side of my first baseman, not good defensively, 13th out of 16 defensively, but you have the same number of total plate appearances for him, and his weighted on base average there is 313. That's crazy. That's a huge difference. Maybe people aren't platooning him in your data set. Maybe the players I play against are better, and that's why I'm not winning rewards. Number 8, Mark Grace. Special edition Mark Grace. I believe he is the Cubs live card. 84 contact, 88 avoid Ks. He's going to have a pretty good batting average on base percentage against right-handed pitching. He plays mediocre at best defense. 288 average, 340 on base percentage, 428 slugging, 767 OPS, and 339 weighted on base average are all pretty solid. He's a top 5 offensive first baseman against right-handed pitching. Amazing how much it differs. Yeah, it's funny. Plesac knows that power versus lefties. Number 1 in steals, he does run a little bit. Somebody's getting 12 stolen bases per 600 plate appearances out of him, which seems exceptionally high to me for a 42 speed. But apparently, you can push Mark Grace a little bit on the base paths. 90s decade hits leader. Says Greg 0. Good information to have. 9th most used all time. I think he's dropped off a little bit as some of the special edition cards have become more readily available. Grace is at number 8. All time, your number 1 offensive value among first basemen, which I'm not sure. I don't see it. 291 average, 349 weighted on base average with number 1 in runs created. That's where that's coming from. I forgot I added runs created into the formula. 89.99 runs created all time for Mark Grace. Number 7, there he is, Heavy Johnson. My current first base versus righties, because the guy that I want is very difficult to find. 283 batting average. Has him 5th among first basemen. 323 on base percentage. Slugging. OPS weighted on base average 6th through 9th. So he plays down a little bit at first base. And we know this. What he does is he plays both defense and offense and runs the bases a little bit. 80 runs created per 600. He's number 7. He is not the guy. I much prefer him in right field. I just can't get the rest of my lineup together right now. And so Heavy Johnson, he's still usable at first base. He's usable anywhere, really. Number 6 is Build a Legend Paul Goldschmidt, who is playing versus lefties for me right now. Number 2 in on-base percentage at 349. Also runs the bases a little bit. Not the middle of the order bat I necessarily want out of my first baseman, but he is a proven winner. He does play defense pretty well, and he's very, very, well, I wouldn't say very, very easy to get, but he's pretty readily available at this point. The Build a Legend Paul Goldschmidt, you can build the collection to get the gold Goldschmidt. That's redundant. Pretty easily at this point for Goldschmidt. For him, there are 3 tourney reward first basemen that crush righties. It's kind of silly. Yes. Goldschmidt comes in at number 6. Number 5 is Special Edition Kent Hrbek. This is the one that everybody has. This is the special edition that everybody has. Grades out 8th offensively and 10th defensively, 6th in runs created per 600, 6th in WAR, 5th in on-base percentage, 271 batting average. Not unusable versus righties. I would try to platoon him if you can. Obviously, it's a very easy card to get. He's your Minnesota Twins live collection reward card. Very easy to get and playable, but I think there are better options out there. But you know what you're going to get with him at this point. You're going to get a 330 to 340 on-base percentage, a decent 270 batting average, mid to high teens in home runs, and decent-ish defense at first base for Kent Hrbek. He comes in at number 5. Number 4, Cecil Cooper comes in at number 4. He is a tournament reward. He is number 4 defensively, number 10 offensively, but I think that's playing down just a little bit. 77 runs created per 600. He's a newish card. Actually, is he a tournament reward or the Brewers reward? I can't remember. 87 contact, 100 gap, 66 power, 87 avoid Ks versus righties, 81, 82, 75, 47, 71 versus lefties. Good base runner, though slow. Brewers mission reward. Gotcha. I should have him then. Interesting. So versus righties, he looks interesting. Versus lefties, he doesn't look unplayable versus lefties. Defensively, he's grading out 4th. 281 batting average, 314 on base percentage, 440 slugging, 10th in OPS and weighted on base average. I'd like to get, again, a little bit more offense out of my first baseman, but he's decent defensively. A little bit low in the runs created per 600 at just 77.53. And just 14 home runs per 600 for him as well. But he grades out at number 4, a little bit better defensively than some of the other guys. Keep in mind, he is a proven winner. Number 3, Tino Martinez, who will hit home runs against lefties and get on base against righties. 283 batting average. This is another special edition. 326 on base percentage. Only 811 plate appearances for him, so small sample size on him. But he is grading out 5th defensively and 3rd offensively among first basemen. All time, however, grading out a little bit lower offensively with a 316 on base percentage, 270 average. Right around 20 home runs per 600, so a little bit of power going on there, but not a ton. And 85 or so runs created per 600 all-time for Tino Martinez. He comes in at number 3. Well-rounded card. Can play defense, can play offense, but clog your bases just a little bit. Number 2 is Dan Murphy. Decent splits versus lefties, but heavy splits versus righties. This is a tournament reward card, a proven winner. He's number 2, I believe, on the proven winner list. Can play first base and second base. 91 contact, 95 gap, 70 power, 89 avoid Ks versus righties. Just mashes righties. He can hit versus lefties. It is a card that I do want. I would love to add this card to my collection. Maybe not as a first baseman. Although the 45 range at second base is definitely concerning. A 297 average, 323 on base percentage, 472 slugging, 795 OPS, number 3 in weighted on base average among first basemen at 345, 86 runs created per 600 plate appearances. What do I need to knock off? What did I do? Palmeiro. You find the Rafael Palmeiro on the list versus righties. I'm not sure. We'll go back through the other first basemen that don't make the top. Can I just skip it? Can I not do this? Dave Magadan is your number one first baseman. Mashes versus righties. Number one, batting average 300, 365 on base percentage. Doesn't hit for a ton of power, but still has a 779 OPS. 347 weighted on base average. Also grades out number one defensively at first base. Second offensively, and is your number one. 31.66% points percentage. He is absolutely a monster. All time, we're seeing a 298 average, 370 on base percentage. Again, the slugging percentage a little bit low. I don't think he's a must-have, but I really want him. I think you can win with other guys on the list, but Magadan, this card is just continues to perform. He's really good. He's really good, guys. 11 is Palmeiro. Again, versus righties, pretty solid power versus righties. It looks like he might not be getting platooned as much as we would like him to, although he is a fly ball hitter, extreme pull fly ball hitter, and should hit pretty well versus righties, though. I don't think he's getting platooned as much as he probably should. Oh, you think Savage Club's in the wrong window? Number 12 is Ryan Howard. Yeah, I didn't see Knapp up there. Number 12 is Ryan Howard, who will hit versus righties. Hardware Heroes 2006. Some power versus righties. Number 13 is Tristan Cassis, who I just moved on from. I do like this card, but I like it better in Spores. The power plays up in Spores just a little bit. The average on base percentage, slugging are all pretty low for Cassis at this point. Where the heck? That doesn't even make any sense. Knapp, oh, that's why. Knapp is losing a lot of points because of defense. This is a phenomenal card. Mashes versus lefties, 96 contact, 91 avoid Ks. 298 batting average, 338 on base percentage, 436 slugging, 773 OPS. Really, really, really good hitter. I really would love to have a Knapp / Dave Magadan platoon. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I just texted you guys over the microphone. We're just going to laugh at that and pretend that someday we might have a Knapp Lajoie, Dave Magadan platoon. People always sleep on Jaha. Let's see where he ended up. 12, Howard, Cassis, Lajoie, Carlos Pena at 15, Jaha at 16. All right, so let's talk about Jaha a little bit. Defensively, he's not great. We're seeing a 257 average, 312 on base percentage, 14 home runs per 600. All time. Looks a little bit better than that all time, though. So 269 average, 329 on base percentage, 428 slugging. Still a little bit behind, but he's a pretty easy to get card too. I like Knapp and Magadan. What an awesome platoon, but I can't fit I can't find them. You just can't find them. There's your first baseman. Second baseman, what we got left? 3 positions, and then I get to go take a nap. We had 15 qualifying second basemen. We'll do this quick. Ryan Sandberg at number 10. 6th offensively, 10th defensively. Not great defensively. Offensively, hits for power against righties, which is good. Only plays second base, which limits his usefulness to me. I think that his 422 slugging, his OPS, his weighted on base average are all pretty good. His base running is pretty good, but the fact that he is mediocre at best defensively and only plays second base, and that he's not an absolutely awesome bat really limits his usefulness to me in the format. He comes in at number 10. Excel is really giving me issues right now. I'm really annoyed with it. Number 9 is Dustin Pedroia. I wish this card was better. Grades out 11th defensively. This is the Rookie of the Year, Dustin Pedroia from 2000. No, sorry, MVP Dustin Pedroia from 2011. Hardware Heroes card. 273 batting average, 332 on base percentage, 397 slugging percentage. He's in the top half offensively in most of these categories. Over 1,200 plate appearances. Splits versus lefties. Going to hit better versus lefties, which is good. But again, pretty mediocre defensively and only plays second base. Really limits his usefulness to me in the format. You made it through the semifinals in gold, 1290, playing the club that beat us Oh, did we lose in the quarters? Those are the worst. Losing in the quarterfinals is the worst. Pedroia at number 9. Number 8 is George Cutshaw. A very interesting card to me. Mediocre defense. Well, second tier defense, I think. Let's not mediocre. We'll go with mediocre for Cutshaw. Doesn't really have any splits. Plays versus lefties and versus righties, and the Nameless Poet probably loves this card. Hits a lot of home runs. Steals a lot of bases. On base percentage of 292, which is way below his all-time on base percentage of 316. So that's weird to me. 279 average is all-time. It's 20 points above his 251. Looks like a little bit of a small sample size aberration here over the last 600 plate appearances. As all-time, he grades out number 1 offensively with 91 runs created per 600 plate appearances for Cutshaw. That is insane. But also only plays second base and does it in a mediocre fashion. I like this card a lot. I think it's a really interesting looking card. I don't know what's going on here. I think this is lower than we should probably expect. I think you'll be closer to this if you're running him. This is a really interesting card that I might see if I can't get at some point to get a little bit of play on. Interesting. Number 7. Oh, there he is, Dan Murphy. Defense at second base is not good. I do like him better at first base against right-handed pitching. He can play at first base against lefties too, but not as much. Offensively, definitely plays up at second base, but the defense is borderline at best. I do like the first base / second base designator because you can play him versus righties at first base and then have him back up first base and second base as versus lefties or whatever you want to do with your team, which makes him more useful. But I don't know that I want him starting at second base every day for me because your pitchers might punch him. Number 6 is Live Ozzy Albies. Who's grading out 9th offensively. I did not expect to see this card here. Grading out 9th offensively, grading out 5th defensively. The splits versus lefties aren't terrible. His splits aren't huge either. We're seeing a 250 average, 300 on base percentage, 422 slugging, 722 OPS. So if you're looking for a cheap option at second base, I don't think Albies is unplayable, but I think there are better options out there for sure. They just get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So if you're looking to really cheap at second base, Albies might be a usable live card. I don't think he's awesome, but I don't think he's unusable. Number 5 is Adam Kennedy, Anaheim Angels collection card. How's the other Albies? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. And it doesn't look like he's going to be on the list today as a qualifier. We'll check, though. Number 5, Adam Kennedy. Versus righties, he will be on base pretty well. Pretty good batting average versus righties is actually probably a good batting average, low on base percentage versus righties. Probably not going to play very well versus lefties for Adam Kennedy. Defensively, though, he's number 2 at second base, but he only plays second base. And he's kind of middle of the pack at best offensively for Adam Kennedy. He comes in at number 5, but it's very, very defensive based, so keep that in mind. A 4,663 plate appearance sample size. We're seeing a 281 batting average, which is right in line with his all-time. He's a pretty easy card to get your hands on at this point because he's the Angels team collection card, team live collection card, live collection mission card. 2.68 WAR per 600 and 72 runs created per 600, but getting a big boost defensively for Adam Kennedy. Number 4 is 1905 snapshot, Danny Murphy. Mid-teens home runs, steals some bases, very good base runner. The Nameless Poet is gone, so that's a little bit sad. Your 5th drop just arrived. Hopefully you get something good. Offensively, he's grading out number 2. Defensively, he's grading out number 12. No surprise that a guy from the early 1900s isn't great defensively. Can turn some double plays. The error rating isn't terrible. Well, he's not super unplayable at second base. Offensively, 2nd in slugging percentage, 2nd in OPS, 3rd in weighted on base average, and 2nd in runs created per 600 among second basemen. Can you live with that defense? That's up to you to decide. I probably can't. Interesting splits versus lefties, though. Looks like a good offensive card for a second baseman. Number 3 is dropping from number 1, Nick Madrigal. Proven winner, future legend Nick Madrigal. One of my favorite cards in the entire set. He is your most used. And it's, I have stories to tell about this card. Because this card is the reason that this is here. For those of you who missed it a couple weeks ago, I ran like 17 gold tournaments and was bored because I didn't have to upgrade the sheet at the time. And I was like, I've never tracked like players or teams or anything like that all that much. So I figured out a way to calculate like the champions, and he was on at the time every single championship team out of 17. So it was a small sample size at the time of only 17. I was like, hey, this guy's on every championship team. And somebody that I know was like, that's dumb. Of course he is. He's on every team. I was like, well, that's just mean. So I extrapolated it, and that's how we ended up with this. I did some work that afternoon because I went to Barnes & Noble that day with my daughter, and I was stewing over people being mean to me in chat. That's not true. They weren't mean, but you know, and they were right. They were like, it was kind of useless, but that's where this came from. That's where all of this came from, was this card, Nick Madrigal. He is no longer on 100% of the champions. It's down to like 91% at this point. So that's where it comes from. Versus lefties, he absolutely mashes. Versus righties, he hits as well. Defensively, he's your 4th best defensive second baseman behind only a couple other players. And he combines offense and defense so well. He bats well in diamond. He's a 300 hitter no matter where you put him, especially if you can find a way to platoon him versus lefties. 304 all-time, 359 on-base percentage, 767 OPS, 82 runs created per 600, while playing very, very good defense at second base. And what's that? He plays shortstop too? Not great. He definitely grades out way lower defensively at shortstop, but that is useful because, well, we'll get there. The number 2 second baseman is Johnny Evers, who grades out number 1 defensively. His offense is a step down from Madrigal, but I don't think it's as far as this is saying. Platoon him versus righties if you're going to use him. He's also very expensive. If you can platoon him versus righties, you're going to see closer to, I think, a 285 to 295 batting average. I'll show you what I have on him for my team. I platoon Evers at second base with Madrigal versus lefties, and Madrigal plays short for me, and we'll talk about that, why versus righties. I do want Madrigal in every day. Evers is very good defensively. 342 on base percentage is 3rd. Second in WAR among second basemen at 3.44. A lot of that is defensive. Runs created at 73.37. I think you can probably coax that up just a little bit. Again, looking over here, you're seeing 286 batting average, 352 on base percentage all time. I think there's a little bit of not getting platooned as much as he should. You don't have to platoon Evers just because his defense is so valuable at second base. But I think if you can get really, really stellar results out of them, Johnny Evers and Nick Madrigal, second base platoon. I have no idea who number 1 is going to be, guys. I really don't. Let's find out. Number 1 is Granny Hamner. What? I didn't even know this card existed right now. Granny Hamner with 82 contact, 103 gap, 53 power, 56 eye, 88 avoid Ks versus lefties. That is a card that will crush left-handed pitching. Holy smokes. Defensively, he's definitely a second-tier defensive player, though the range is pretty good. The error is a little bit low for my liking. The range and second base rating are good, though. This is a really interesting-looking card. Not on the proven winner, but probably because he doesn't have enough to qualify. Only 767 plate appearances, 438 WAR, 80.5 runs created. This is a solid card versus lefties. You have 3,500 plate appearances at 299. This is a very interesting looking card for a cap as well. You save 5 points on Madrigal. You save 9 points on Evers. Is it 8 points or 9 points? Yeah, you save 9 points on Evers if you're trying to figure out a second baseman for a cap. His splits are heavier than both of theirs, but he splits towards the pitching side that is heavy in this format. So keep that in mind. Those are pretty heavy splits. He really does need to be platooned. I think you can get away with one of Evers or Madrigal every day. Even though I think you can coax a little bit more out of a platoon than you can by playing them every day, I really think that Hamner needs to be platooned. He's going to have to be platooned, and he only plays second base, which reduces a little bit of his value too. So guys that have to be platooned that only play one position, especially when it's a middle infield position, are a little bit concerning to me. But this is a card that is going to absolutely destroy left-handed pitching. He will hit really good against left-handed pitching. Definitely not a cap card. He can't hit righties. That's fair. Unless it's a high cap. Like Sporers, I think you could... So the problem with him in like a Sporers where there's a super high cap is that power is such a thing there. And so I think his power will play down a lot. Although his gap power might be really useful there. So, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the cap. High cap, not a low cap for sure. Like the 1625, I think he's probably unplayable in. Maybe even the 1750, but the 1981 Sporers cap, I think that you can find a way to platoon him and get some offense out of him at second base for sure. You feel like he's more of a platoon with Evers if you want to play Madrigal at short. Yes, I agree. If you want to play Madrigal every day at short, he can definitely platoon with Evers. But then you run into you've got two guys who only play second base, so it's just a straight platoon. And there's only so many places that you can run a straight platoon. Yeah, the high gap power with no speed is a little bit concerning, but interesting looking card. I'm not in love with it necessarily, but it's interesting. I definitely want to get more data on it. So maybe I'll add it someday. Third baseman. Oh, we didn't look at the rest of the second baseman. Hold on. 11 was Brujan. 12 was Nick Gonzalez, 8th defensively, 11th offensively, future legend card. 13 was future legend Kyron Paris, plays second base and shortstop. Third defensively at second base, so solid looking defensive card. Lacks a little bit offensively for Kyron Paris. Number 14, a special edition, Jean Segura, who looks like he will hit well against right-handed pitching. Doesn't play defense very well, though, at second base. Don't love. And number 15 is live Max Muncy. And his 91i versus righties. Hits for a little bit of power. Negative 0.69 steals per 600. Tell him not to run, guys. 55 speed with just enough speed to think he can make it, but not enough stealing ability to actually make it. Max Muncy at 15. Third baseman. We had 14 qualifiers. Rafael Devers comes in at number 10. Number 3 in home runs. Number 3 offensively. It's a good-looking offensive card. The low I and avoid K combination is concerning to me. He will hit some home runs. He's not great defensively. Definitely second tier defensively and only plays third base. Pretty big splits versus righties as well. Do not love. Hopefully he's low diamond soon. Next up, special edition Justin Turner. Mashes versus lefties. Number 2 offensively at third base. Number 11 defensively. This is a tournament reward card. Very hard to find. Good luck. Number 1 in average as a third baseman. 357 on base percentage is first as well. Second in weighted on base average at 346. 782 OPS is number 2 for him. Third in WAR. Third in runs created. Number 2 offensively. Devers was 10th. Live Rafael Devers was 10th at third base. 782 OPS for Justin Turner. Really solid offensive card. Really, really difficult to find. Really needs to be platooned. Pretty big splits. I think you'll get an okay batting average against righties, but everything else is going to be kind of a mess. And so Turner comes in at number 9. Number 8 is future legend O'Neal Cruz, who will strike out more than me. Not very much of a split here. 6 points of contact, 6 points of gap, 4 points of power. So the splits are all the way up and down, but they're not huge. So I think he's playable versus lefties and righties. Obviously going to be a little bit better versus lefties. Good for the format. Grades out 6th defensively. Number 1 in home runs. So here's a power guy for the middle of your lineup. This is a really awesome card in Sporers. Another one of those cards that plays up in a format like Sporers where home runs are increased, and there's a cap, so you save 5 points on like the Dandridge or the Austin Martin, who are a little bit higher rated cards. But he comes in at number 8 with a 435 slugging and 22 home runs per 600. And pretty good defensively, too, for O'Neal Cruz. Also, can pretend to play shortstop and at least be like a pylon out there for you. Number 7 is special edition Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, Martin is an 83. You're absolutely right. O'Neal is pronounced like Daniel, but with an O. O'Neal? Huh. Thank you. I will try to remember that going forward. It'll probably take a little bit. Franchise Heroes coming this Thursday. Nice. Martin is an 83. You're absolutely right, and I misspoke. So we'll see where he pops up on the list. I do like the Austin Martin card. Brooks Robinson comes in at number 7, grading out 13th offensively. He is here because he plays very good defense at third base. I don't know that I'd play him in this format. I think you need a little bit more offense out of your third baseman in this format. There is one third baseman who plays worse than him offensively. But it can't possibly be by much. He's at number 7 because he's good at defense. Number 6 is Austin Martin, who's an 83 and who mashes against lefties. Second in on-base percentage, third actually over this period at 10,000 plate appearances, 7th in WAR, 5th in weighted on-base average, 5th in OPS. Can run the bases just a little bit. He's a decent base runner. Doesn't strike out much and walks quite a bit. The average is a little bit low at 259. You can see it's come down a little bit from the 265. He is a proven winner at 26% of his points. Runs created, he's right around 75 to 80 runs created per 600 while playing pretty good defense at third base and while having the ability to back up multiple other positions. I think the fact that do I prefer him over Turner versus lefties? Personally, I do. And this is the reason more than anything else. The fact that if I'm running him as a platoon versus lefties, I can have him backing up other positions than just third base. So he's not a straight platoon. I think that versus lefties, Turner's probably going to give you a little bit better batting average, a little bit better on base, but Martin gives you some speed that Turner doesn't give you, and he gives you a little bit better defense as well. So for me, I prefer Martin to Turner. But that said, I would not blame anybody for not feeling that way. I think that Turner is the batting average here is going to be Madrigal-esque. It's the problem is that the defense isn't good and the base running is mediocre at best for Turner. But I think that Turner card looks like an awesome number 2 hitter, maybe like a number 5 hitter in your lineup, depending on how you're going to use him. So there you go. I prefer Martin over Turner as of right now. Number 5 is Billy Werber, who has some weird splits going on. You got 15 points of gap versus lefties, but you got 9 points of contact versus righties and 12 points of power versus righties. 15 points of I versus lefties and 11 points of avoid K. He can run number 1 in steals as a third baseman. Plays a little bit of defense as well. I would consider these splits towards righties as opposed to towards lefties. So maybe as a platoon option with a Martin or with a Justin Turner. If you win Justin Turner, sell him for $150K. Yeah, fair enough. Bluebird Silver. I don't necessarily disagree with you there. Yeah, if you can get $150K for a gold card, do it. Because there is not a single card in this format that's that important. And Werber runs. Maybe as a platoon, I don't think this is a terrible option as a platoon versus righties, maybe with Martin. But again, then you run into the how many positions can you platoon? I like Martin because I think Martin plays versus righties. I think Werber can play versus lefties too. Either one of these guys really, I think, can play versus the offhand. I just think Martin, since this is a very heavy lefty pitcher format, I think Martin plays up a little bit in this format over Billy Werber. The Turner is from Tournament Rewards. He's Generally, I've seen him in perfect drafts, I think, and especially like the weekly perfect drafts, but it's mostly tournaments. These gold cards, the good gold cards, are not showing up often the last couple weeks. Werber at number 5. Number 4 is Special Edition Mike Lowell from the Florida Marlins. It's too bad Ukaran's not here right now. Lowell plays a little bit of defense. The range is low, but the arm is good, and the error rating is very good with a 53rd base rating. He's middle of the pack defensively. Splits versus lefties, which we like. Only plays third base, though. Does probably need to be platooned and only plays third base. So if you can fit him, I certainly think this is a usable card. Good power versus lefties. The batting average will be pretty good. High 280s, maybe 290s versus lefties. You can see, I think that's what we're seeing here is that he's being platooned a little bit better at third base. Number 1 in slugging percentage, number 1 in OPS. That's 460 and 797. All time, those numbers are a little bit better than, these numbers are a little bit better than his all-time numbers because I think people are starting to maybe platoon him just a little bit, or it's a little bit of a small sample size aberration. So Mike Lowell comes in at number 4. All-time he ranks 5th offensively and 8th defensively. Number 3 is 1936 snapshot, Odell Hale. Number 7 offensively, number 5 defensively, grading out number 2 at WAR. I don't see much of this card. So 11th in batting average at 254, 8th in on-base percentage, 6th in slugging, 7th in weighted on-base average. Grading out 7th offensively. I don't think I love this card all that much. The error rating's a little bit low for me at third base. The arm is good. The range is helpful, but there's going to be a lot of errors there. Splits versus lefties, which is good. I think it's playable. I think there's other cards I like more, personally. A little bit of power. Interesting that he's getting 3.94 WAR per 600. 75 runs created per 600 plate appearances. Not terrible. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's playable. Comes in at number 3. Number 2 is proven winner, Ray Dandridge. I finally broke down and spent the 30,000 points to buy this card because I like it a lot. Number 1 defensively at third base. Offensively, he's a little bit lower, grading out 12th offensively, just 12th in weighted on base average, which has come down just a little bit. 693 OPS, 383 slugging, 310 on base percentage, 271 batting average. Can run just a little bit, not great. The stolen base percentage is going to be good. Won't strike out. The ball's going to be in play. He's not going to walk a ton. He's got a little bit low speed. I wish his speed was just a little bit better. Yeah, I'm probably not going to stick with him for too long unless I can get him to work a little bit better for me. You wish you could play shortstop, but he had a very negative zone rating when you tried for a while. Yeah, I can see him not being great at shortstop. I like him because he can play third base and he can play every day. So I was looking for an everyday third baseman. And he plays defense and he has solid avoid Ks and solid contact. Versus both lefties and righties. I was running out of positions to platoon. I'm probably going to go back to Austin Martin pretty soon. Both of them are pretty good options, I think. I want Dandridge to be better than he is. These might be my numbers dragging him down. He's pretty expensive. The Austin Martin is much cheaper. But Dandridge comes in at number 2. It's very defensive. It's very much defensively better than anybody else. He is very, very, very good defensively. This is one of the few positions where I think the number 1 defensive player really sets himself apart from everybody else. Offensively, he's a bit of a mixed bag. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag. He pairs well with Chico at shortstop if you run ground ball heavy lefty starting pitching staff. Interesting. Your numbers for him are pretty bad offensively too. Yeah, these are not great offensive numbers. We'll see where he goes from here. Number 1, I have no idea who it's going to be. I swear to God. Nah, go away. 79 rated Nolan Arenado comes in at number 1. He's number 2 defensively. Grading out number 9 offensively. So a little bit better offensively. Number 1 in WAR at 4.13. Only plays third base. And you're going to want to hide him versus lefties. I don't love it. I'm going to call Dandridge number 1. But Arenado will hit versus lefties. even though he's a silver card. I think this is a card that'll have a good batting average, some good power versus lefties, you know, mid-teens, mid to high teens, if you can hide him versus lefties. He loses a lot of value to me, again, because he only plays third base and because he has to be platooned. It's like if Dandridge only played third base, I think he'd still be playable because he can hit every day. But I think that the fact that he only plays third base and has to be platooned really damper my like for Nolan Arenado. I think this is a fantastic card versus lefties in silver, and probably a pretty interesting card in a cap format. But I really think that I don't agree with this ranking. It just means you're platooning him. Yeah, it's a 418 slugging, 726 OPS, 318 weighted on base average. Yeah, so straight platoon, it's fine. I think he's playable. I don't know that I personally want him on my team, but I think he looks like a fine card that will work against the heavy lefties in the format. Again, 62% lefties, play him every day, so what? 1 out of every 5 games he's going to get beat up by the right-handed pitching. Yeah, I agree. For sure. Yeah, I absolutely think that you're not wrong there, Pond. I think he's playable for sure. 11th is Pete Rose, build a legend, righty splits, bad defense. We had 14 qualifiers. Minnie Minoso at number 12. Again, I find this card useful just because of what it can do, but I'm definitely trying very hard to get him off of my team. Number 13 is Kevin Seitzer. Splits versus lefties. Probably hits a little bit versus lefties. Pretty bad defensively, like bad defensively. And number 14 is live Chris Bryant, who is bad offensively and not good defensively either. Those are your third basemen. Let's finish it up with shortstops, shall we? Number 10 out of 15 qualifiers is live Javi Baez. Grading out 4th defensively, 14th offensively. Not very good offensively. But it's shortstop. And he's cheap. Splits versus lefties. A little bit of power. Hits with more power than almost any shortstop out there. But was Beltre on the list? He wasn't on there. Let me see if I can find him. I only had 23 plate appearances for Beltre. Interesting. See if that's the only one here. That is the only one showing up. So 333 average, 391 on base percentage, 915 OPS, 26 home runs, and 26 walks. But 23 plate appearance sample size is super small. I'm not sure how I got such a small sample size on Beltre. I imagine he's getting used more than that. It's hard because there's not an obvious verse right. Yeah, I agree. There wasn't a guy on the list where I was like, oh, I'd love to platoon this guy with Arenado, right? And so it's not like center field where you're like, oh yeah, there's a couple guys who I can play versus lefties and a couple that I can play versus righties. It'd be Arenado and somebody. Like there's not a very clear guy there at third base. So Baez, shortstop number 10. Home runs, everything else is bad. 229 batting average, 250 on base percentage. 0.85 WAR has him 12th out of 15. And 0.85 WAR for a second baseman is atrocious. Getting used a ton. Probably just because he's very readily available and very easy to find. So interesting there. Number 9 is future legend Vidal Brujan. Bad defensively, okay offensively, middle of the pack. 258 average, 327 on base percentage, decent WAR at 1.99, 307 weighted on base average. 16 steals, so he can run a little bit. Decent on base percentage at 327. Splits versus righties, but not super heavy for Brujan at number 9. Again, the 20 points between his speed and his steal is concerning to me. Number 8 is build a legend Tony Fernandez, who really looks like he should hit well against right-handed pitching. Decent speed to go along with 87 contact, 79 gap, 92 avoid Ks. Offensively, he's grading out 5th. Defensively, he's grading out 9th. I don't think this is unplayable by any means. Probably better options out there. He only plays shortstop. The splits are not so heavy that I think he needs to be platooned, so I think he can play every day at shortstop. He's dropping a 290 batting average or so, 316 on base percentage, 399 slugging, 715 OPS, mid-teens in the steals. Stolen base percentage a little bit low. I think probably people are just a little bit too aggressive with him. Maybe tone it down just a little bit. Get similar stolen base per 600 numbers, but maybe a little bit better stolen base percentage out of him. He comes in at number 8. Number 7 is future legend C.J. Abrams. I would almost call him unplayable defensively at shortstop, but he does play second base and center field. I don't love his shortstop ratings. Offensively, splits a little bit towards righties. Overall, offensively, he's grading out number 3. All-time grading out number 1 in 3,843 plate appearances with a 280 batting average, 344 on base percentage, 428 slugging, 772 OPS, and a 341 weighted on base average. And all of that equates to a 1.78 WAR, which leads me to believe he is historically bad defensively, because those offensive numbers with a decent defensive shortstop would be awesome, and he is really, really not good defensively. You talking about Fernandez for a cap? Yeah, I can absolutely see Fernandez in a cap tournament. That looks like a super useful card in a cap tournament. Number 6 is Live Trevor Story, who hits lefties really hard and plays pretty good defense. Down from an 86. Number 1 in home runs, number 4 in slugging, 690 OPS, 302 weighted on base average, grading out 8th offensively, 5th defensively for him. Good speed, 81 speed, 88 stealing. I'm surprised to see his stolen base numbers this low. That's weird. All time, it's even lower all time. So maybe these numbers are deceiving us just a little bit. All-time grades out 20th offensively though, so 230 average, 285 on base percentage. I don't love it. I think there's way better options at shortstop. There's not a ton of options here in gold at shortstop. Madrigal comes in at number 5. Grades out 13th out of 15 defensively. Like I said, I like him as a second baseman and then as a backup / utility. I'm still going. We're almost done. We're on the last position. God, it's been 3 hours. And I'm not going to hit a Madrigal too much more. Number 4 is Chico, who grades out number 2 defensively. Grades out number 11 offensively. 245 average, 303 on base percentage. He plays versus something for me. He's still on my team, sadly, because I can't get any of the other cards that I want at shortstop. I would really like to move on from him. He is good defensively and is usable defensively and is a proven winner. Not because of my team, that's for sure. And a little bit, hits a little bit versus righties, has a little bit of gap, a little bit more power versus lefties. So he can play, and he's pretty easy to find. He's cheaper than some of the other cards on the list. And he's good defensively, with providing a little bit of offensive value. Number 3 is Dobie Moore, grading out 6th defensively. Playable at shortstop, for sure. 39.67 4th offensively. Not a bad looking card. 80 rated card, 282 average, 311 on base percentage, splits versus lefties a little bit. Interesting. Might be an interesting option to platoon with Madrigal at short. Let's see. 418 slugging, 729 OPS, 283 WAR. For Dobie Moore. He comes in at number 3. We got 2 players left to look at today. Whew. Number 2 at shortstop is Ron Hansen, grading out number 3 defensively and grading out number 9 offensively. 31.51 points of defensive value. Very good range, very good turn double play, 74 arm and an 83 shortstop rating. Hits versus lefties. Definitely splits versus lefties. 71 contact, 75 gap, 75 power, 74 eyes, 79 avoid Ks versus lefties. And defensively, he looks pretty good. I would try to platoon him if you can. Only plays shortstop, which is sad, but it is what it is. And so that's where he shows up at number 2. This is a card I really want to like. I have not had a lot of luck. No, I'm not saying that. These are just numbers. I'm not saying I'd play Hansen over Chico. Once it catches up, let's go back to Chico real quick. Chico is better defensively than Hansen. I think that him Let's see, where do you go? So Chico is much better defensively. I can see... I think Hansen hits a little bit better versus lefties, but probably not by much. The batting average might even be a little bit lower, but you'll get a little bit of power out of Hansen, which is what he provides. These are just numbers. I've had less luck with Hansen too. I tried him for a little bit. I moved on from him, and I am running Chico out there now. You just closed out a win in 1288. Congratulations, Ian. Chico's been good to EVC. Yeah, I like Chico. I don't have anything against Chico. Number one, good luck. I mean, Barry Larkin, special edition tournament reward. Good luck trying to find him. 315 batting average, 340 on base percentage, 407 slugging, 748 OPS, number one in WAR, number two in weighted. I don't even. Yeah, good luck. Good luck finding him. He's not available in any rewards this week, as far as I can tell. If he pops up in a perfect draft at some point, perhaps. Him and Magadan are the two cards in the set that I really want to get. And really, Nap's probably right up there too, that I can't ever find, that I should probably start saving points for. You think there are 3 copies ever? Well, I've got 3,000 plate appearances on him over the last week, so there's got to be a couple more than that. You just pulled an Evers on the alt. Nice, congratulations. That's a good card. He's your number one shortstop. And we got knocked out of this tournament. Outstanding. Good job, guys. We're back here. Let's get into another tournament because we like data. No tournament wins today. Sad. We got a couple last night. I opened a bunch of packs yesterday, so this is from overnight. We got 15 packs. What do you say we open them? Shall we? I don't think I have any collections to open on this particular team at the moment. We are 11 and 25. We are back in Diamond and not prepared for Diamond. I don't think I have any collections to turn in. I sure don't. Let's just open 15 packs and see if we get any. Well, we'll just put you up for auction, Mr. Pete Rose. I think I finished. I can't remember if I finished his collection. Yeah, good start. We'll take a Pete Rose to start with. Hank Ritter, Josh Bell, Kyle Garlick. Yeah, we make 3,000 points back or whatever. What do we got here? Joe Wallace, Orlando Arcia, Steve Melter. We've seen one diamond. I forget what the diamond was we saw today. There we go. Too bad this isn't my silver team. But Petway will get us one step closer to our infielders for the Negro Leagues. Very good start to these packs. I can feel it. No, that is not a normal Diamond League. I need to get out of that friends list and try to compete. And a Build-A-Legend McCutcheon. Not one of the better Build-A-Legends, but hot packs. Come on, give us something good. I need a Yachty. I need a perfect Yachty on this team. Juan Cruz in that pack. Roy Hartzell. Please. Oh, not part of the Yankees collection. That makes me sad. I was excited for like a brief second. Very brief second. Lefty James, Gene Segura, Lucas Sims. 6 packs left. Pete Alonso. Go away, Pete Alonso. Bunch of irons. Homer Suma. Nothing good there. Hold on to the Hartzell for franchise heroes. Yeah, I don't usually sell non-dupes. Jim Finnegan. Gold, part of the Adrian Beltre mission, so that's a useful card. Not enough to finish it, but useful drop there. We didn't see him on the list. Very good defense at third base. Contact and I don't look like they'd play too well up at gold. Probably get beat up pretty badly offensively. Calhoun. 2 more packs. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Tomorrow, we are going to do what we were supposed to do yesterday, the Sunday Historical Silver Tournament. We're also going to look at tonight's Spores event tomorrow on my stream. And then Thursday, I'm going to spend some time doing something a little bit different. I'm going to try to get into sliders and work out what we think about those. So drop by on my stream tomorrow. I'm hoping it'll be about 10 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time. I don't think I finished any collections. I did not. So tomorrow, Silver Historical, Sunday Silver Historical. My link will be up right at the end of this stream here. You'll see it when I go to my goodbye stream, or if anybody has the link handy. Well, you can't really post it in chat because you're not moderators. I can't post it in chat either because I'm not a moderator. But somebody found me. And so it's twitch.com/angered_unicorn is where you can find me. Tomorrow, Sunday Silver Historical. Keep in mind, it is not as deep a dive as this is, but it's still fun. We look more at like the teams that are put together for winning stuff and all of that. And it should be a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll have some packs to open by then too. So you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow or next Tuesday if you don't want to come follow me over there. Bye, guys.